We went to the PI, saw a few different things, but our schedules didn't really match up so that we could, do more things. But, he wanted my help in training a little bit for Chandler.
Thank you, guys.
Jesus, bright them lights, aren't they?
Paddy, over here to your left. I think obviously you've had a lot of attention on you since you come to the UFC, but this one feels like the biggest one, right? So far in your career, do you feel like this is the biggest fight you've had to take a part of?
Yeah, definitely. Every fight that I have now is going to be the biggest fight in my career. Obviously, everything's a must-win, and co-main event slot on the best pay-per-view of the year, best fight card of the year. It's where I need to shine.
Every fighter in their career has that one fight that sort of, in the eyes of the audience, proves them to be like a legit fighter, right? I think back to when Conor first fought Dustin. As he was coming through the ranks, suddenly everyone realised, like, oh, this guy's really good. Do you see this fight with Chandler as the one that, for you, shows the world, like, I'm not just a fun fighter, I'm a legit elite fighter?
I hope so. But the goalposts always get moved with me, lad. Like, everyone's saying now before the fight, oh, Chandler's going to knock him out, Paddy's not good. And then once I beat him, it'll be, oh, he's 2-4 in the UFC, he's 38, he's washed. You know what I mean? That's just, I'm used to it. I get on with it now. I just go out there and prove how good I am by winning.
I saw on your YouTube channel, which is a great channel, people should check it out, that you've started really like dialing in and taking your career seriously more than you ever have before. Do you feel the effects of that in the gym and when you train?
Yeah, feel it when I spar, feel it when I train. Even like doing me fight run-throughs the last couple of days when we've been training. I've never had this much energy fight week. I've never been able to smash pads for rounds and rounds and then do a fight sim after it. And everything's just coming together. Everyone always says it, it's very cliche, but I am in the shape of my life. I've never felt this good, and it'll show on the weekend.
Did we establish who has the bigger, most messed up hand, you or Michael?
Yeah, everyone started saying I've got a moose knuckle, which was quite funny. But yeah, I think I've got bigger hands than him, lad. He's only little, isn't he?
Right. You've used that phrase, people are always moving the goalposts for you. And I remember you were saying something similar when you fought Tony and something similar when you fought Bobby Green or King Green. And then you said you kind of get on with it now. Did that ever bother you at all? And was there a moment when you were just like, all right, no, I got to move on from this? Nah.
It's been happening since I was an amateur, since I was 16, People saying, oh, he'd beat you, and then when I beat them, it's like, oh, he's not even that good. Like, I'm used to it. It's been happening for years and years. It's something that's what's not new to me.
We've heard your name even when you were, in the Cage Warriors days. We had been hearing of Paddy, and then obviously famously, you decided not to sign that first UFC contract to bet on yourself. But since around, even before then, it's felt like you've been this quote-unquote kind of superstar in the rising that we're going to have these big media days with. Can you remember a time that you felt like that? Like maybe you don't feel like a superstar, but people around you started to really, really recognize you, like around the world?
No, yeah, even when I was fighting on Cage Warriors, and I won the belt there, and that blew up a bit, and even when I'd go on holidays and I'd go to Thailand and Spain and stuff like that, I'd still get asked for pictures before I was even in the UFC. But then obviously when you get to the UFC, it's the Premier League of MMA, one fight and everywhere I go, like it's just picture non-stop. But I don't mind it, know what I mean? People, as long as people use the manners, people say please. I always say to people, what's the magic word? So yeah, I don't mind getting pictures with people, it's all good, as long as I'm not with the babies.
When Conor and Sean O'Malley were on the rise, they used like this phrase, like they always knew this would happen. They couldn't really describe the feeling, but they always knew they would be this superstar even before they were pros. Did you have that feeling at all, or did you just kind of ride the wave?
No, I always said that. I always said where I'm headed. I always knew that this was coming. I always knew that this was in my future. That's why it hasn't fazed me at all. I just took it in my stride because I said from day one that this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be one of the biggest superstars in this sport, and I'm going to be a world champion one day.
And then this year, dating from the January pay-per-view even through your fight, we're seeing a lot of these young lightweight prospects, like Rufi, Ignacio, Bohamondes, like Tom Nolan and everyone, and they've all said the same thing, like the top 10, 15 of lightweight are probably closer to retirement than their primes outside of Arman. And a few of them said, like, well, Paddy's kind of leading this charge of young lightweights coming up the division. Do you feel that? And do you kind of look like they might not be ranked, but do you see these guys as like, I'll probably have to fight this guy in like 3-4 years, maybe for a title?
Yeah, you never know. I've said the same myself. The old guard's changing. The old guard's going to fall out, or they're either all going to retire or they're going to end up on a trajectory like Tony Ferguson, because they're all getting on. Like, I think most of the top 10 is over 38. Well, 35, sorry. Like Beneil, Moicano, Chandler, Poirier, Gagey, Charles. I don't know how old Gamrot is. I think Dan Uchud might be over 35 as well now. So the top 10 at lightweight in the next 3 years is going to be completely different, apart from me and Arman.
And then just last one for me, I think it was either you or your coach used the phrase, Charles showed the formula against Michael Chandler. So I guess what in that fight, without giving away your game plan, obviously, did you see from Charles and you're like, all right, this is the path to victory?
A lot of stuff, you know what I mean? I couldn't even name one. He kept him on the end of his shots. He showed how easy Michael Chandler is to take down. A lot of people thought Chandler was a high-level wrestler, but he might be a high-level, like, Division 1 wrestler where it's just straight wrestling, but MMA wrestling, I'm better at it. I'm a better grappler, I'm a better striker. He's just probably got more power in his hands, but we'll prove that on Saturday night, won't we? We'll see who's got more power, because I think there's more chance of me knocking him out than him knocking me out.
Paddy, right here. You mentioned all those names that are kind of on their way out of the division a little bit. Is that why you're trying to get these fights in as many as possible now? Because once they're gone, like, you look at the great fighters in the sport, they have these names of the former champions and stuff on their resume. Is it important to try to get as many of those as possible before they move on for your legacy?
Yeah, of course. It'd be nice to get all the future Hall of Famers, because, like, Gagey, Poirier, definitely Charles. Like, if I could pick one of them to fight, it would be Charles Oliveira. He's got the most submissions in UFC history. Former champion, defended the belt twice. Well, missed weight one, but I'd still call that a defence. And I think me and him stylistically it'd be a brilliant fight. But as I say, I think Dustin's only having one more than retiring. But Gagey's another fight that I'd love to have. These are all names etched in the history of the lightweight division. They're all names that everyone knows and everyone recognises. So beating people like that, just be boss.
Yeah, I saw Dustin Poirier is going to be a desk analyst for this event. Does that excite you that you're maybe going to have to make him say some really nice things about you with your
Yeah, I don't think he likes me very much, to be honest. But I know he dislikes Michael Chandler a lot more than me. So, yeah, it'll be quite fun to have a little chat with him after I've won.
Paddy.
Paddy right here, sorry. Molly retired recently. Obviously, the two of you are very close. You've had some big nights together. The Paddy and Molly show, that 22 event when the UFC came back to look for the first time since COVID. Was it hard seeing her hang them up, and was there part of you that was kind of wishing, hey, maybe we could do this one more time together?
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? I didn't want her to retire. I had a little inkling that she might do it, but I didn't think she'd just do it like that. The change of opponents really fucked her. You know what I mean? She was training to fight a striker and ended up getting a very high level grappler on a week's notice. So it really messed everything up. But as I say, I had a little inkling she'd do it. I think she had it in the back of her mind that if she lost, she was going to retire. And she's got other things going on in her life. I think she's always said she wants to have a child. She's got her own businesses, so she's got other things going on outside of fighting. Obviously, I'd love to have that one last rodeo, but it's one of them. We also have a life outside of fighting.
Fair enough. And, now you and Chandler, you both actually came into the UFC in 2021. Obviously, very different paths to get here. But when you look back to your Cage Warrior days and turning down that first contract and even taking a pay cut to be here on your first contract, is this what you envisioned back then? Has it exceeded your expectations?
No, yeah, this is exactly how I envisioned it. It's been a little bit slower because I got that injury and was out for a whole year, and then obviously my wife had twins, so we had a couple of months off after the last fight. So it's been a little bit slower, the trajectory, but everything's going smoothly, everything's going to plan. My trajectory, the roadmap I'm taking, is going perfect. Beat Michael Chandler the weekend and fight someone like, as I've just been saying, Charles, Justin or Dustin in Abu Dhabi in October, and then I'm coming for that belt in 2026.
Thank you.
Sir, go ahead.
Paddy, on a Full Send podcast, you had some words for Arman Tsarukyan. What prompted you to say that, and did you hear his response?
Yeah, to see his response, it tickled me, made me laugh. It's just being honest, you know what I mean? I'm just brutally honest, I can't lie. If someone I get asked about someone, I'm going to be honest. I seen him say in an interview the other week that I don't watch anybody not in the top 5. I won't watch Chandler and Pimblett. Well, what are you tweeting me for then? You know what I mean? If you weren't concerned about people who aren't in the top 5, you wouldn't be tweeting me when I've said something about you. Like, people who say stuff about me, what are beneath me, I don't mention it, I just leave them to it. But, you know, I must be in his head. It's not my fault he shit his pants.
And with the win here, do you plan to call him out?
Anyone in the top 5, lad, I don't care. Like, it doesn't have to be a certain person. Like, it can be Arman, it can be Charles, it can be Justin, it can be Dustin. I just want to fight whoever's going to get me to that title. It does, like, I haven't got no personal vendettas against anyone apart from Ilya. So it's one of them. I'll fight anyone that they put in front of me. I'll never turn down a fight.
I think we have time for 2 more. 1, 2.
Hey, Paddy, right here. I'm from Brazil, and I was talking to Patricio Pitbull a couple of days ago, and he told me like you messaged him and he gave you some advice on Chandler without saying what it was. Is that something you plan on using on a fight?
Yeah, definitely. I messaged him when we was at the press conference a couple of weeks ago. I was going to try and get some training in with him, to be honest, because he's a little bit of a similar style to Chandler. You know what I mean? Short, stocky, throws big shots, and I could have played Yair for him. You know what I mean? I'm taller, rangy, throw a lot of kicks, but we just didn't find the time to get in with each other and do it. But at the media day, the press conference, we were in the back and we was talking to him and his coach and his brother, and he gave me a little few pointers, showed me a little few things. I think we might have a little bit of it on video. So after the fight, if that comes off, Pitbull will be getting a big shout out, and we'll share the video of what he was showing me.
That's pretty cool, thank you.
Paddy, 3 years ago you started the Paddy Foundation, which is geared towards helping men's mental health awareness and helps feed kids in need. I wanted to ask, how's the foundation going, and do you have any cool projects coming up?
It's going great, you know what I mean? We're still raising funds constantly. One of the best things that we've done so far is a charity what does counselling in the UK called James's Place. It's a place that I actually went to myself when I was depressed and struggling with my mental health. I had sessions there, and we donated enough money for them to employ another counsellor, another member of staff for, I don't know if it was a year or 2 years. Like, we used the funds out the Paddy Foundation to do that, so more men can actually go and speak to someone and get mental health advice, and, you know, hopefully not do nothing drastic and not take their own life or try and harm themselves.
One last one, quick one here, Danny.
Paddy, real quick. Some people have accused Michael Chandler, fans and past opponents, of maybe being a dirty fighter, of cheating, fish hooking, shots to the back of the head. Wondering, do you agree with that? Do you see him as a dirty fighter? And if so, I guess, how do you prepare for that? And do you have to have a conversation with the referee in the back to be like, hey, just be extra careful?
Yeah, he's the nicest man in the world outside the cage, and when he gets in it, he's a dirty bastard, isn't he? You know what I mean? But I always say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So I understand what he's trying to do. He wants to win, and that's the main thing when it comes to this game. But yeah, I probably will mention to the ref in the back, like, if he's going to grab me gloves and when I say, if he tries to poke me in the eye and stuff like that. Because that one against Charles, lad, when he punched him in the back of the head about 9 times or something, and the ref, I hope that's not my referee, put it that way. I hope I've got a good ref, like Goddard or Herzog. I don't want to have a ref that's just going to let me get rabbit punched in the back of the head consistently. The one what he done to Gage, he was bad as well when he poked him in the eye, and then the ref went to stop it and he just punched him in the face as hard as he could. As I say, Chandler's a real nice fella outside the octagon. I've bumped into him yesterday and had a chat with him, but in there he's a very, very dirty man.
Thank you. Good luck.
Any more now?
It's all right. It's all right. I'll just cry.
Chase, good to see you again.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Yesterday we didn't talk about fights, so we'll talk about it this time. Obviously, the narrative surrounding this fight with Jim Miller is, he has more UFC fights than you have, I think, years on this planet. So,
Yeah.
I guess after your last fight against Clay, someone presented like, "Would you fight Jim Miller?" And you were like, "Yeah, I would." I think you thought of it right then. So, were you surprised that they presented you with Jim, and when they did, like, what went through your mind?
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like going into this fight, a lot of people were like, "Oh, he called out Jim Miller." It's like, what? Somebody suggested it, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that fight." And then that turned into a call out. But no, I think it makes sense as like a good step up, especially from the Clay fight. And then another veteran guy, and again, he's got 46 I think UFC fights, so almost 20 more UFC fights than again I have years on this planet. And I fought a lot of veterans now at this point. Caceres was my second fight, which is crazy to think about now. It's I mean, I'm pretty happy with the matchup. I mean, I'm happy to fight like another left-handed guy, like a true southpaw. I think that'll be fun. And then a guy that's willing to engage in the grappling, a guy that's not gonna really have any like respect, I don't think, for any of the areas that I'll try and take the fight to. So I think that opens up a lot of opportunity when a guy's thinking more about the offense than the defense. So hey, I'm here for it.
Do you embrace this role of fighting these veterans? Because I even remember like Joe Lozon did a Q&A in Boston. He said he was trying to fight you, and that was like several years ago.
Yeah, that one was kind of weird. I was actually I was on vacation with my wife. We were in like Italy, so it was like a weird time change. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. to like, oh, Joe Lozon calls out me. That was kind of a weird one where he was like, oh, I just want to fight him because he wouldn't knock me out. And I was like, that's kind of a sad way to present it. But, no, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess it kind of sucks about the sport is you can't have too much reverence for people in their careers, especially if you're in the same weight class. Like, you just don't know who you're going to fight and when. And it's like, I obviously have a lot of respect for Jim. I have a lot of respect for Clay and all these veterans that I fought. But at the end of the day, it's them or me. And then I hopefully we'll get another younger prospect on the up and come after this. Another guy on a win streak. But yeah, for now, hey, we'll take what we can get, and I'm happy with the matchup.
You also posted on Instagram, I think it was the graphic of the fight, and you at the bottom it says, "Am I the third Paul brother?" Is that just a joke of you fighting guys that are a little older than you?
Yeah, I mean, pulling a Jake Paul. He fought Ben Askren, Mike Tyson, Anderson Silva, fighting all the older guys. I mean, why not? It's one of those things where they're gonna put that label on you anyways. So it's like if you accept the joke anyways, it's like no reason to get butthurt over it. I think a lot of fighters are kind of sensitive, and I feel like I've had that beaten out of me with all the starting with the contender stuff at such a young age with a fight where I got beat up for a little bit. Like, half of the people were like, you suck, you should stop fighting, and then half of the people were like, you're the best, whatever. So from 18 now, 7 years later, I've been dealing with that the whole time, so I feel like you get a little used to it, and embrace it. Why not?
Did it ever bother you, especially when you were younger?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, the ego is such a big thing, and we're literally fighting in our underwear out here. Like, you put out you can see someone, I feel like, in their most raw form of they're barely wearing any clothes. You're seeing how deep they're willing to go mentally. People go to weird places in fights when it's two men are going in there, and it's whoever's stronger is going to get the win. You're really bearing all, literally, for the audience. So I feel like it's hard to feel like you're doing that and then have people tell you that you suck. But I don't know, sports fans, at least in the U.S., I feel like are kind of weird.
Jim said that he wants to get to 50 UFC fights and call it a day. You think you could get to 50 fights?
I hope not. I mean, I'm at this will be my 11th. I don't know if I want to do this 5 more times. Yeah, I do want to stick around for a long time, but 50 fights is crazy. Especially even now, like just the wear and tear I've put on my body. I can imagine, what he's got going on.
Chase, right here on that Jake Paul note, have you seen the meme of his hair and tattoos on you?
I did, and I kind of looked like my dad in that one. That was kind of, but with like I guess more the Dagestani beard, like no mustache. That was, kind of disturbing to look at.
Sorry you had to live through that. But like you mentioned, you are a 10-fight veteran now. So when you look back at those 10 fights, has this gone the way you had hoped? And what are kind of your biggest lessons learned through this time?
If I can really be honest, I don't think anybody wants to come into the UFC and go, 3-3 in the first 6. But even with like my Contender Series fight, like I was so disappointed I didn't get a finish. I was like, they're not going to sign me. But again, like looking back at all this now, I'm so thankful that they put me on the developmental deal. They gave me a little extra time. Like if they had just thrown me into the mix at 18, like I would not have done as well as I did at 20. I might have already been out and I'd be working a regular job now, or trying to get back in for a second stint. Same thing with, winning some, losing some, winning some, losing some. Like I built up the contracts a little bit. I mean, it's not like a huge pay bump when you're fighting like that, but like UFC's taking care of me and, giving me the time to develop. And I think, it really just kind of destroyed the ego side of it for me, which was nice. And it, like my last fight at 45, the Garcia fight, I forever in my career before that point, I was like, so worried about like, what if I go in there, I get beat up, first round, I don't even really get to throw anything. And then I go to the hospital or whatever. And then I had that happen. And I was like, okay, it sucks obviously, but like I lived through it, went to fight another day. And then I've been on a streak ever since. Like it's just one of those things where you have to let it go and let these experiences, positive or negative, just take what you can learn from it. And I mean, it's just building the confidence, building the resume. And I mean, again, now here at 10 fights, I feel very comfortable, a lot more comfortable than I did at 6 fights. And ready to see where we can go from here.
Last one for me. You mentioned the developmental deal there, and that's something that we've seen kind of rarely for Contender Series fighters, but we are seeing more and more guys coming through the Contender Series who are 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. Do you think those deals would be beneficial, if they were handed out a little more?
I think in certain cases it made a ton of sense. Like I believe Mackenzie Dern also had a developmental deal. Maybe Greg Hardy, which is that just shows the ups and downs of it. Like it's an investment. And I see why they don't do it as much. But I think there's certain fighters, like definitely people on the younger end like I was, or like a Mackenzie where she's amazing on the ground, amazing jiu-jitsu, but maybe just needs a little more experience before jumping right into the UFC. Like get some of those fights out of the way, get some more stand-up. It's just, a way to, keep building somebody like close by, like in the Fight Pass realm, without throwing them right into the deep end of the UFC. I think it's great. But I would like to see more of those, honestly.
Thanks, Chase.
Thanks.
Sure, go ahead.
What part of your game helps make up for not having as much experience as someone like Jim Miller?
Honestly, at this point, I don't feel like it really matters. Obviously, he's fought with everybody, but like I have 10 fights. It's not like it's my second fight anymore. I feel like a veteran now. I feel like this is normal. Obviously, Jim's got more, but it's just one of those things where I feel like me also feeling like I've been here for a while, like, and feeling comfortable, that's going to help. Like I'm not going in there expecting like, oh, what's going to happen because he has so many fights. Like that's just the business. Like he's been working here a little longer than me, but we still do the same job. And I mean, that's how I felt with the Clay fight, is like this guy's got 30 plus UFC fights. I can't go in there respecting that. Like that's just gonna be a negative if I go in there giving him the advantage of me thinking that I have something that I'm missing. Like I don't know, I feel like we're on even playing field. And the thing about him having all those fights is that's a lot of mileage. especially the way he fights. Same thing with Clay. Like, these guys that are in here scrapping, like, that is not good for your body long term. Not in your 40s, at least. Respectfully, of course.
What do you hope this fight will bring for your future? Are there any guys you have in mind?
I mean, I'm in no ways looking past Jim Miller, but I feel like trying to get definitely some younger prospects. Look at some of these guys on the 3-4 fight win streaks. And I think Jim propels me like right outside the top 15. I think if I beat Jim in a good fashion and then get another win against one of these up-and-coming younger prospects, then that can set us up for putting a number next to the name.
All right, thank you.
Just one more right in front right here. You know, Paddy was in here, and what you just said just made me think of it. Since January, there's been a lot of young lightweight prospects like Rufi and Ignacio Bohemondez, Tom Nolan, and Paddy seems to be one of them. Even afraid, like, you know, Paddy's kind of leading the way for us cracking the top 15 because that top 15 in 3 years, most of them might not be fighting anymore. So do you see that, and do you see all these young guys that are also kind of circling that 16 to 20 ranking, and you'll all be fighting for the belt in a couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to think too far ahead as far as any of the belt stuff goes. But, yeah, I really do think that new wave is really coming up right now, and it's a really strong time for the lightweight division, which, I mean, lightweight division has always been one of the toughest in the sport. But, again, like you mentioned, some of these guys that are coming up, Paddy, Bahamondez, Rufi, Ferez Ziam's another one of them. We've got so many of these younger guys in that, I mean, it's an exciting time. I kind of want to see some of the changing of the guard. I think even the fans are probably tired of just seeing Poirier and Oliveira and Islam and Gaethje and all these guys just circling, you know, just killing off all the younger guys. But, you know, hopefully we'll make it up there someday.
Chase, speaking of your division, right? The lightweight division is in a really interesting picture right now. You've got Ilya moving up, Islam being the champ, Arman and Charles at the top. How would you match up your lightweight division at the top?
How would I match it up?
Yep.
I think the Topuria fight with Poirier would be great, or Topuria with, you know, maybe Oliveira. Like, those were two that were kind of mentioned a little bit, at least online. Obviously, I don't want to see Topuria just keep starching all these old guys, which, I mean, I guess I'm kind of in the same boat, but on a lower stage in the division. But no, it's one of those things where he was the champ at 45. Again, beat Volk, who I think is behind him now the best featherweight of all time, like just resume wise, and then also decisively finished Max. Again, another one of the best featherweights of all time. So he has more than enough pull to you know, jump right up towards the top of the division. Yeah, I think that would be great. See, I don't know if Arman's fighting for the belt again. It sounds like he's not. I don't really know who we match up Islam with. Like, I just want to see any fight for him. I would love to see him in Topuria, but I think give Topuria one fight and then throw him up there.
He might go up.
Who might go up?
Islam might go up.
Oh, Islam might go up? I hope so. That'd be nice. Have all the Dagestanis out of the division. You know, make it easier for us jiu-jitsu guys.
One more from me. A lot of people are changing their nicknames now. Your nickname is the Dream. As you move up in your career, could you change it to the Nightmare?
I'd be ripping off Diego Sanchez on that one. I think I'll stick with the Dream. Well, I've already changed it once. I went from the Teenage Dream, you know, matured a little bit, turned 20. We took that part out. Just, you know, the Dream, and Dream's alive and well, so I guess we'll keep it for now.
Chase, didn't Diego go from the Nightmare to the Dream, then back to the Nightmare?
Yeah, he transitioned a little bit, depending on the day, depending on the coach, I guess. Good. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hello.
What's up, Alex?
What's happening?
We've had Old Man Volk, we've had Builder Volk, and now we have rock singer, music producer Volk. I'm curious where the idea for that one came up, and was those your vocals on the skit?
Nah, not my vocals, unfortunately. I wanted to actually do that. I wanted to, hit some notes and show you my many talents, But, it was good. So we're always going to do a skit, and have a bit of fun with it. Sportsbet do a great job with that sort of stuff. It's always fun. And then after, the singing, we've secondhand serenade. I thought, you know what? They wanted to touch on that, and I was like, that's a great idea. So having a bit of fun with it.
I feel for a lot of your fights in your career, you felt discounted and, Holloway's going to beat him or Islam's going to wrestle him and all this sort of stuff. But now, after the 2 losses, coming back from the time away, does it kind of feel more than ever like, people... Not in a negative way, but they're just really hoping you don't lose at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? And it's easy. I'm always, I love being the underdog, right? I'm always like trying to find ways to, see people saying things so I could use it as fuel. And I don't need to do that, right? Like everyone has every right to think that. I'm coming off, they talk about the age thing and then coming off a big break, coming off 2 KO losses. So everyone has every right to think that, and I'm going to change their mind this weekend. So it's that's all it is. So it's weird. It's because I am, a lot of people have doubted me, but like usually I'll be like a bit spiteful about it, if that makes sense. But now I'm like going, yeah, I get why you think that, but I'm gonna show you. So it's still I still have that something to prove. But I'm not angry about it, if that makes sense. So it's like, I've got to prove it. I'm going to prove it to myself and I'm going to prove it to the world.
I saw some images of you training last night, and I have to say you look incredibly shredded for this one. When you took that time off, I know you started living family life, you got the farm and everything. When you started getting back into training, was there a moment where it was like, oh yeah, I am actually a fucking killer as well? And how was the training camp to prove that?
Yeah, it was good. It was good to just... grow outside of the sport and just spend a lot of time on that was great. The question was, am I going to flip the switch going back to that fighting? That's why I wanted to do the camp early, so I could really do that. And yeah, you're right, man. This is the leanest I've ever been. I really wanted to get my percentage body fat, to be honest. I think it would be, definitely the lowest it's ever been. So it's 16 weeks of just hard camp, man, and real discipline. Didn't have a drop of alcohol the whole 16 weeks, not even a cheat meal. So I guess you could say I went above and beyond. The work ethic's always there for me, right? The intensity in training, physically, I'm always putting it in. So you're never going to top that because I'm always topping it. I can't go any harder than what I do. But things that I could have worked on is maybe, try and focus a little bit more on whether it's recovery, but dieting, and things like that, and just being that little bit more disciplined. And I was. Like, I followed the diet, Geordie, the fight dietitian, followed that to a T, literally from well before camp. I usually, I'll follow it a bit, eat what I want, and then the weekends do whatever I want, follow it again, and then really buckle down the last, 4 or 5 weeks, if that makes sense, and just do that little bit bigger weight cut. Where this time I was able to literally get rid of a whole kilo and maybe even more of fat, you know what I mean? So, very, very happy where we are. I haven't kept a shirt on whole camp, so it's pretty good. Very, very happy and proud of myself because I went above and beyond on this one.
Obviously, you shaved your head. If you could have hair, but it could only be Diego's hair, would you grow it back?
I mean, any hair I wouldn't. This is my new look, man. Like as I was saying, we could go do a trip over there to Turkey or something like that, but I ain't gonna do it. This is my look, so all good.
Well, right here. In the UFC countdown, when you were reflecting on your last fight against Ilya, you used the phrase, I think, that it was more of a freak reaction defensively when you were facing him. So what does that feel like when you're in there to have that, as you say, a freak reaction defensively on your end?
I don't know if freak reaction was the right way of putting it. It was just, I knew that, it was just at a time where I'm like, all right, now we need to start adding stuff. The shots are there, but you're getting pretty hesitant and when I say defensive, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I didn't want to follow up because, you know, anyway, I don't want to get too much into it, but it was just, I was like, all right, we need to start doing more. Like, just talking to myself and just wouldn't do it. But yeah, that's
obviously you got a powerful guy like Ilya in front of you. You got things like that coming off the losses, coming off the knockout victory. Coming off a knockout loss, stuff like that. You know, maybe it was you. No one could have told me that before the fight though. People were like, oh yeah, it messes with your confidence and all this, and I'm like, bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way anyone could have told me that. But yeah, maybe I did fight that. You know, a little bit different than what people are used to, which I think was pretty obvious. But the fight was still going. Good. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, but you were winning the rounds and all that. But you got a good fighter like Ilya in front of you. You start making, having patterns and doing the same thing. Someone's going to capitalize. A guy like him is going to capitalize, and he did. So full credit to him. When I say that's not taking anything away from him, I'm just more upset about myself.
Did you think it would be Diego welcoming you back after this time off?
No, I always thought it was going to be Ilya. We had the face off. I thought that's what it was going to be. But I got the next best thing. In Diego, a young, hungry guy. I wanted to prove myself to the younger generation in Ilya, right? Everyone's the new school and all this. So that's a big part of the story, right? Not only getting that win back, but just showing that everyone's going to say you're old and all this type of stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna show you. You know what I mean? When I come back, it's going to be big. But I don't get Ilya. Don't get that win back just yet. But I get the next best thing. It is for the vacant belt. And it's against a young, hungry, new prospect, So a lot of people are hyping him up and thinking I can't do it, and I love this position.
Do you see a bit of yourself in him? Because, he made his debut on short notice against Movzar. He took that fight against Ige on a couple hours' notice. He flew all the way to Abu Dhabi just to weigh in as a backup like you did, and now he wanted to get back in earlier after the Ortega fight. Do you see a sense of how you came up, kind of mirrored how he got this shot?
Yeah, well, for sure. I think he did everything right. That's what you want opportunities to come your way. That's the way you do it. People are going to be like, risk. Yeah, it is risk. But, there's big opportunities when you take risks. That's why I guess he's always ready, always in good shape, just so we can take these opportunities. And look where it's got him. There's a lot of people that are sort of in his position, as in could be next. And he was a guy the UFC wanted because he did everything right. So, I can see a lot of that. He'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. So, full respect to him.
And you got your title shot after beating Aldo in Brazil. Obviously, you beat up Yair. So, you beat up a Brazilian legend. You fought a Mexican legend. Now you're fighting a guy that represents both countries. So, I guess, how's the fan reception been that you're fighting a guy that both of these countries kind of claim?
Fine. There's... no malice. I think everyone loves us both. Everyone's got a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for me, and I haven't heard much at all. To be quite honest. So it's good.
And just last one for me: have you run in a pit bull? Because you was joking here about that $1 million bet you kind of joked about. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Actually, I did say obviously you're gonna say things on the mic, but behind closed doors, you're shaking hands and saying hello. But it's Yeah, I mean, if he does his thing, we don't need to talk it up. He does his thing in an impressive fashion. He's got a tough, guy in front of him. If he goes out there, mate, I'm sure the UFC are gonna you look at him as maybe his next as well. So you could be seeing it pretty soon. I mean, with this $1 million thing that he's talking about, I don't even know if he's serious about that. I mean, I think a lot of that is just trying to hype up to get the fighters. Mate, just put on a performance. You get the fight. You don't need to cut the bullshit. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Yair Rodriguez. He's a good dude, but whoever wins. If Yair wins, all right, happy for him because I like him. If people wins, at least I've got a fight probably coming soon. So I'll be happy, I guess, with both.
Alex, right here. Coming into this fight, a lot of narratives, the 35 or older one that's been discussed before, fighters who come into title fights off back-to-back losses, 1-5, never won an undisputed title. Randy Couture got an interim belt in that spot. And then some people seem to think the training videos with Nina Drama have a bit of a connotation to them. If you overcome all of that and win, is this your greatest achievement on Saturday?
Well, it is the greatest achievement. Just look at I've never been in this situation before, right?
I've never come off such a big break. I've never come off 2 losses. So it's definitely the biggest fight. It really is the biggest fight of my career, you know. And everyone's going to go, oh yeah, like you've done enough, but I haven't. I can do a lot more, and it starts this weekend. You know what I mean? It starts on Saturday, where this new title reign is. When you talk about legacy, and it doesn't get much bigger than this. The comeback is going to be real. This is shit. You know, people write books about, movies about, and we're going to do it all Saturday night.
And just last night, news came out Aaron Pico has signed with the UFC. A lot of people excited about his addition to the featherweight division. I know if you're champ, he'll have a lot of work to do, but what do you just think of him coming in, another potential fresh name?
Obviously know of him. I've seen some highlights. I don't know too much about him, but seems to be a bit of a hype, so it's good. I love it. You know, you got people talking about people talking about this fella. You know, you got a lot of guys. You know, you got even undefeated fighters. You've got so many up-and-comers. I mean, the division is pretty stacked right now with a lot of hot prospects. You know, Silva coming up as well, doing his thing. It's cool. Cool time to be champ. And I will be, and I'll have a lot of defences ready because I want to be that same active defending champ that you guys remember. That title reign, that next title reign is going to be good.
Alexander, we talked about... Ilya going up. Were you surprised at all that he went up and didn't hang on to the title that he vacated and went this route?
It's pretty surprised with him vacating. I knew he wanted to chase the lightweight title and move up. I heard him saying that, but I didn't think he would give up the belt that easy. I thought he would try and hold it. So that's why you got to have respect for that. Like for him to not want to hold up divisions. Look, I got to a point where. Obviously, I wanted that fight back. I wanted to get that win back. It got to a point where I'm like waiting, because I was hoping to fight, a bit later last year, even October, maybe December-ish. So it was starting to drag on. So I got to a point where I was like, all right, if he's going to wait around, I'll do an interim against someone and then we'll fight. It got to that point. And so it wasn't a surprise that he moved up. But surprised that he vacated. So I knew that it was going to be Diego at UFC Sydney, and I didn't know if it was interim. I didn't know Ilya's situation. So I heard that on Dana's live as well. So I was quite surprised with that.
And then,
but full credit to him. You know what I mean? You got to give him a lot of respect. I obviously still want that fight back, but I let him do his thing. He's committed to this. Let him do that. I plan on being that active defending champ that I said. Once he's done his fight, if he was to win the belt, imagine us running it back, both champions after me having this little title reign. I'm expecting to have a couple of fights by the time he fights, to be honest. That's how active I want to be. So you could just imagine how big that rematch could be. So getting that win back, is still an opportunity not too far ahead.
Then going back to the music video, how important is it to be able to have fun at this point of your career?
It is, man. It is. I enjoy the acting, to be quite honest, and especially with Sportsbet and that, they do a great job. But it's good because I've always went through the motions, and I started growing. Like you can see in the last couple of years of me really starting to be myself. But I really, over that little break, I really got to work on myself even more, just be myself. And I feel like I'm taking that into this week. So I'm not only just the fighter answering these questions, it's Alex answering these questions too that sort of hard to explain, but it's good. So I feel like I'm going to really enjoy the process, especially the victories and all that type of stuff. I usually just win. I'm like, it's a bit of relief, and then I'm just ready for the next one. Or you get what I mean? I'm like, I don't really get to properly enjoy the situation or understand what I've done. I'm going to be able to do that this time, and I can't wait. I think I'm going to be very very happy, and I'll really enjoy the after party and the weeks with my family, and even just enjoy taking that belt back to my team, to my training partners, my supporters, and obviously my family and that. I can't wait to take that back and properly enjoy it as a family man or as myself, rather than just oh, you're bringing it back and, are ready for the next one. And it's hard to explain, but I think I get to really enjoy and appreciate this moment, especially when I get my hand raised.
You mentioned enjoying the acting. Was there anyone role in that video that you preferred? I think there was a Kurt Cobain and Iron Maiden.
Kurt Cobain, yeah, there was a few there. I like the country singer one, you know what I mean? That's, me being on a farm now. I'm getting used to that cowboy hat, so yeah, bit of fun.
Thanks.
Volk, speaking of your family, you and your wife, Emma, have been together for about 20 years. What type of advice did
Where
she
am I
give
looking?
you during...
Oh, sorry, there he is.
No, you're good. You and your wife, Emma, have been together for 20 years. What type of advice did she give you during your rugby career, and how has that advice changed as you've went into MMA?
She's backed me from the start. You know what I mean? You can imagine the sport when I started. It wasn't big in Australia. A lot of people didn't really know what it was. Family and friends are like, what's this thing he's doing? When's he going to give it up and get a real job? You know what I mean? And that's no lie. I'm sure a lot of fighters went through the same thing at some point in their career. And but she backed me the whole time. There was a time where I was chasing the dream. She was working, and I was doing a bit of concreting and obviously fighting as well. And then there was time where I committed that little bit more to fighting. And yeah, she was she had my back. She backed me and had my full support, and it was great. And that means a lot, especially when you're chasing the dream. There was it's going to be tough times. A lot of any athlete early days is going to struggle. So that's where you're at. But we stuck to it with the commitment and the backing of her, and we got it done. Now we're going to be able to really enjoy it through that process. Another thing, right? Like I'll talk about back here with the question where I'm like, I'm going to be able to sort of really enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like we've done a lot. Obviously, blessed to be in the position I am. I don't feel like I got to enjoy it through that process, but that last year I had off, I really was able to enjoy it, and very, very happy where things are, and can't wait to go and do my thing, this new title reign, and just really enjoy it, or soak it all up, and enjoy it with family.
One last question. Go ahead, sir.
G'day, Volk, mate. Down the middle here, mate.
How you going?
Yeah, good, mate. Aussie MMA has never been in a better spot than it is currently. You got yourself fighting for the belt this week. We've got Jack Della next month. There's young blokes coming through every division. What is it about Australia that we just punch above our weight, overall?
Yeah,
what
we always do,
is?
mate. That's it. You know what I mean? I feel like I've always done that, and I feel like that's just the Aussie way. You know what I mean? And it's pretty a crazy position we're in right now. Like I'm getting my hand raised. I'm getting my hand raised this weekend, and Jack will do the same. By the way, he's got a YouTube channel as well. Go give him a shout. Go give him a subscribe. And a like. But yeah, he's obviously very well-rounded, great dude. I was very happy to have him in camp as well. I was able to get some good rounds with him. So he helped me through camp, which is great. And hopefully we'll be able to help him get ready as well. So massive things coming. You can see it growing so much. We don't have a champion just yet, but this weekend we will. And, within a month having 2 champions is just insane.
It is. And with the new singing Volk going viral on the internet, any chance after you win the belt on Saturday you pull out a Tyson Fury and bust out into song in the middle of the cage?
You never know. Yeah, we'll see if the mood strikes. Maybe. I think so. I think maybe. What song you reckon?
Shit, that's a good question.
Give me. Anyone got any ideas?
Maybe
What's
Land
a
Down
good
Under.
song?
Just go with it.
Land Down Under. You reckon?
What would get the pop is Bad Bunny just came out with a new song.
Which one? Sorry.
If Bad Bunny, you're saying Bad Bunny with his new album here in Miami,
That's you're right. That would pop off.
Fire right now.
Better get that lyrics down, Pat. Yeah. See how we go. Is that it? All right. Cheers. Appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
Well done, Sam.
If he sings Bad Bunny, his new album is fire. Yeah, it's so good. Did you watch his Tiny Desk? No, it's so good. It's so good. It annoys me how talented he is.
He's fucking mugging you off. Wouldn't have that hug, you mate. Fuck. Dude, speaking of having, that's where the voice is real rude. Nah, kill for this. Kill for this. Did you watch Over Under on Tears? Over Under on him having a cry?
We're really all over the schedule today, aren't we?
Are we, what are we?
So we're really all over the schedule here today, aren't we?
Yeah. Don't make me over again. It's just perfect, mate. It's fucking good.
It was pretty good. Well timed.
It was great, man. It was not the song, I just enjoyed the bit.
The bit's great.
Okay, I gotta come back.
Diego, gang.
Hey.
Diego, right here. Obviously, you know, the big story of this fight week has been like your rapid rise to the top. It wasn't that long ago that you were making your debut on short notice. And you even said in that countdown piece, it was like, you might not know who I am now, but you will soon. So I guess how's fight week been, knowing that you're only a few days away from fighting for this belt on a rapid rise to the title?
A história da semana é a tua ascensão rápida aqui, né? Como tudo aconteceu tão rápido, desde aquela luta de última hora e até ter um negócio no countdown falando que você dizendo que todo mundo ia saber quem você é. Como é que tem sido essa semana da luta, visto esse curto tempo que você teve para chegar até aqui?
I think it's the crazy journey for this time, right? But I worked too much. This week is the most important for my life because I have my whole team here with me. The energy for the tournament for the team is so great. I feel amazing.
Last year you were fighting very frequently between fights. You had, fought June, fought September, even before that you fought at 300, and you've had a bit of time off now. So physically, how are you feeling after being able to take some time off after such a busy 2024?
No, my physique is amazing. This training camp is so long, 3 months. The training camp, I have everything for this camp. My body is healthy, no injuries, nothing, only a good shape.
And what do you make of where Volkanovski is at this point in his career? Because I think he was the champion when you debuted, but where do you think he is in terms of his career now?
Onde você acha que o Volkanovski está agora em termos da carreira dele? Porque ele era o campeão quando você estreou, né?
Sim, eu acho que ele vai tentar pegar essa última corrida, né? Vai tentar aproveitar isso. Ele tomou também um ano de descanso, então acho que ele vai vir na melhor forma possível para tentar recuperar o título e tentar ser 2 vezes campeão, né? Mas a gente está aqui.
I think he's going to try to take advantage of this last run for the title. He took some time off, and I believe he's going to come in his best shape to try to win the belt back and be the champion again.
And earlier today, a big piece on you by Guilherme Cruz came out about your time, like moving to Mexico, and you and Alessandro fighting for food and just fighting to survive and just fighting to eat, basically. Weren't really thinking of the belt yet. So have you thought of what it would be like to get the belt and like give it to not just him, but just your entire team that was there for you and they're still there now?
Saiu a matéria do Guilherme Cruz falando do teu tempo lá quando chegou no México, lutando para comer basicamente e tal. Você já pensou como é que vai ser poder dar esse cinturão para o Alessandro, para todo mundo da tua equipe, todo mundo que te ajudou lá atrás?
100%. I think Alessandro is the most person important in my career. As this guy lived with me is the 10 years. In my life, in the life of Alessandro, happy many things. Dificuldades. There are como que muitas dificuldades.
A lot of difficulties.
A lot of difficulties too with Alessandro. Yeah, bro. I mean, me and Alessandro have one promise now. Bro, go to the whole events. I need to be champion in my division. You need to be champion division too. Me and Alessandro make this 2 times in Mexico. Now is the goal is in UFC. Now I have my opportunity. I hope Alessandro soon have a opportunity for fight for the rank 2. Is the guy stay in the money fights for the title too.
If you win the belt, will it feel like you're winning the belt for both of you? Because I mean, when Bilal fought in Manchester and he won, he said it felt like he was also winning with his coach who had been there from the beginning as well. So I'm curious if you feel the same way.
Você acha que você vai ganhar o cinturão por vocês dois? Porque ele deu o exemplo do Belal quando ganhou o cinturão. Ele falou que sentia que era dele e do treinador dele.
100%. Trust me, this is my goal.
Diego, tudo bom? Queria que você falasse um pouquinho dessa luta, o que significa para você, mandar um recado para todo mundo do Brasil que tá torcendo por você, que acredita que você vai trazer esse cinturão para o Brasil. E voltando um pouquinho lá atrás, de uma conversa que a gente teve, que você ficava escondidinho na hora do almoço, não tinha o que comer, e como é que essa virada merecida na tua vida, e só desejar uma boa luta para você.
Posso falar ou você vai traduzir?
Não, pode falar.
Ok.
Não sei se ele quer traduzir.
Sim. Pô, cara, é um sentimento muito bom, né? Imagina, lá atrás a gente passava por tanta dificuldade e tá aqui agora numa boa posição dentro do UFC, lutando pelo cinturão, é muito satisfatório, entendeu? É muito satisfatório porque isso só demonstra que com trabalho duro, esforço e sacrifício você pode conquistar todas as coisas que você quiser, né? Tipo, uma coisa que eu tenho falado bastante é que todos nós temos uma oportunidade. Todos nós temos uma oportunidade, mas vai de cada pessoa saber o que fazer com essa oportunidade, porque muitas pessoas recebem uma oportunidade boa e não sabem aproveitar e acaba perdendo e acaba ficando para trás na sua vida, na sua carreira, em várias coisas, né? Então, pô, eu tô muito feliz, cara. Tô muito feliz, na verdade, porque todo o sacrifício que eu tenho feito tá dando certo e nada, só a galera do Brasil, galera de Manaus principalmente, lá do meu bairro onde eu moro, no Mutirão, pode sempre esperar o melhor de mim, né? A galera me conhece, sabe como eu sou e vamos pra cima.
A question about, basically the journey that led him over here, and it's very gratifying to be here. A lot of struggles along the way, and I've been saying a lot that everyone gets opportunities, and it's really up to each person to figure out how to take advantage of that opportunity. So that's what I'm trying to do now, and I want to go in there and put on a great fight and do good for this opportunity. And I know that everyone in my hometown, in Manaus, in my neighborhood, everyone knows what I'm capable of and that I can deliver.
Diego, right here to your right. Right here. There we go. Talking about that journey, obviously there was the setback on the Contender Series, going back to the regionals, get a couple of wins, come back to the UFC on short notice, face Mobsar. If someone back then had said, you're going to fight for a title in just a couple of years, would you have believed them?
Falando dessa jornada ainda voltando lá no Container, né? Que você sofreu aquele revés, voltou para lutar no circuito regional, aí entrou de última hora. Se alguém te dissesse lá atrás que você estaria lutando pelo título, você acreditaria?
Acho que depois das 2 derrotas que eu tive consecutiva, definitivamente não. Acho que ninguém acreditava em mim, nem como posso falar, nem as pessoas acho que mais próximas a mim podia ter um dia estar imaginando isso, né? Mas eu sempre acreditei em mim mesmo, acreditei no meu empresário, no meu irmão Alessandro. Teve momentos que eu estava desanimado ali, mas eles me empurraram para chegar até onde eu estou agora.
I think after back-to-back losses, I definitely didn't imagine it, and honestly, I don't think anyone believed in me at that point. But thankfully, I listened to my manager, I listened to my brother Alessandro, and just kind of kept motivating myself to keep moving forward.
And obviously, here you are, 5-round title fight, main event. How much of a factor is those 5 rounds? I know you fought 5 rounds outside of the UFC. It was a little while ago. Was that a big part of your training camp, focusing on the cardio and endurance?
A questão dos 5 rounds, já lutou 5 rounds fora do UFC, né? Mas isso é um negócio nessa luta, isso é um fator importante nessa luta. Tá preparado para 5 rounds?
Yeah, I'm prepared for 5 rounds, but I prepared for finish the fight. No, I think I think no, como que nenhum lutador.
No fighter.
No fighter is the prepared for fight every fight for 5 rounds, right? Everybody training for finish this fight. This is my goal. Of course, I prepared for 5 rounds, but my goal for this fight is finish.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Go ahead, sir.
Diego, aquí en español, 2 preguntas en una. Felicidades y buenas tardes. ¿Qué se siente en este momento tener la oportunidad de luchar por un título mundial, el sueño de cualquier peleador? 1. Y 2, la pregunta siguiente, hacerlo contra una leyenda como Alexander Volkanovski.
No, pues pelear por el título es algo increíble, ¿no? Yo creo que todo peleador sueña con eso, ¿no? De un día pelear por el título, ya sea de una empresa y pues más de UFC, ¿no? Entonces yo creo que para mí es algo increíble. He trabajado mucho para ese momento, he estado aquí durante muchos años desde mi carrera. Dentro do UFC son poco tiempo, pero afuera de ahí son muchos años trabajando duro, ¿no? Y hacerlo frente a Volkanovski, que es un peleador legendario dentro de la división, pues es algo que me motiva aún más.
Y ahí dijiste de que eres resultado del trabajo, lo estabas diciendo en portugués. ¿Sientes que has llegado a este momento, a esta oportunidad, como resultado de tu trabajo en tu carrera, en todo y en UFC?
Sí, definitivamente, ¿no? Yo creo que pues he hecho de todo, ¿no? He hecho de todo pues para tener las oportunidades que tengo ahora. Y pues sí, trabajo duro pues es lo que me ha traído aquí.
Muchas gracias, buena suerte.
Gracias.
Diego right here. Last night it came out some news that Aaron Pico had signed with the UFC. I just wanted to get your reaction. Obviously, if you're the champion, there'll be some work for him to do, but what do you think of him joining this division?
Anunciaram ontem que o Aaron Pico entrou para o UFC, né? Você, como campeão, óbvio que ele vai ter que cavalgar para chegar até lá, mas o que você acha dele nessa categoria?
I think Aaron Pico is a good fighter. This guy is good wrestling, good box too. I think he's a great for division, not for the renew the division now.
Yeah, and there were some rumors that he might be fighting Movsar. That doesn't look like it's happening now. Are you glad that it seems like maybe they're saving Movsar for you to fight if you win?
Estavam falando que ele talvez ia lutar com o Movsar, mas parece que não vai rolar isso. Você fica feliz que pelo menos abre o plano para você lutar com o Movsar?
Pois acho que ninguém quer ver o Movsar lutar, né? Então, porque o cara tem muito tempo aí esperando, então vamos ver o que vai acontecer. Na verdade que meu foco agora é lutar pelo cinturão, ganhar o cinturão, e se o UFC fala, você vai lutar com o Movsar, a gente luta com ele.
It feels like nobody wants to watch him fight because he's been waiting for so long, you know, but my focus right now is on winning the belt, and if it's the case to fight him, then we'll look into it.
Last 2 questions, Danny.
Diego, aquí en español. Estás peleando en Miami y acá hay una mezcolanza muy grande de hispanos y de brasileros, y obviamente tú tienes una audiencia muy interesante porque unes a Brasil con Hispanoamérica. ¿Te has sentido en casa y piensas que este sábado vas a pelear en casa?
Pues yo creo que puede ser que sí, ¿no? Hay muchos, como menciona, hay muchos brasileños, hay muchos latinoamericanos también. Y es algo que me motiva porque el año pasado he peleado en Las Vegas. Yo sé que hay mucha comunidad de habla hispana allá también, pero yo creo que acá en Miami es donde he escuchado que más gente de habla hispana es donde hay, ¿no? Entonces, definitivamente, pues voy a sentir que estoy peleando como pues para mi gente, ¿no?
Sí. Y cuando dices que te ves y te preparas para finalizar a Volkanovski, ¿dónde crees que eso es lo más posible? ¿Será noquearlo? Hemos visto que en sus últimas peleas él ha sido noqueado. ¿O será buscar el suelo? Que pues muy bueno en el suelo él, pero pues sabemos que tú eres muy peligroso en esa área.
Pues yo creo que cualquier una de las dos oportunidades que aparezca primero, ¿no? Yo creo que tengo las manos pues pesadas pues para mandarlo pues para abajo, pero también mi jiu-jitsu es muy peligroso, ¿no? Tanto por abajo como por arriba. Y pues hemos visto que, obvio, pues nadie lo ha finalizado con jiu-jitsu, tiene muy buenas defensas, pero hemos visto cómo caen submisiones, ¿no? Entonces yo creo que yo solo ocupo una oportunidad para finalizar.
Y última pregunta, vimos que Ilia Topuria cuando ganó el título rápidamente se entró a la conversación de los mejores de la historia de la 145 con un par de peleas por qué tan contundente fueron sus victorias. ¿Te ves haciendo lo mismo? ¿Crees que después del sábado y como peleas de pronto estés en esas conversaciones y te ves en eso?
Pues yo creo que todavía me falta un poco de camino, no voy a mentir, me falta un poco de camino simplemente por el récord que tengo, por el poco tiempo que tengo dentro del UFC y por cómo se han dado las cosas en mi carrera, ¿no? Yo creo que eso el tiempo lo va a decir, ¿no? Yo voy a trabajar pues para que un día pues sea considerado uno de los mejores de la división.
Oye, y te anda molestando por el pelo, ¿no? ¿Crees que está celoso o qué?
¿A quién? ¿Volkanovski?
Sí.
Ah, pues él no tiene. Yo sí.
Gracias.
Gracias.
You go. First of all, congratulations. Your English has improved so much in the last year or two, but now you're up against an Australian, listening to an Australian speak with an Australian accent. Just how difficult is that to the English that you were trying to learn?
Primeiro, parabéns, seu inglês melhorou muito. Mas agora você vai lutar com um australiano, é inglês da Austrália, né? Isso dificulta para você?
Yeah, the last year I have many travels. I listen different people speak English different in France, in Macau, in Australia. Yeah, now is that my mind is open for you need to learn more English because it's the many people speak different, you know.
Yeah, I think that if I was to learn Spanish, it wouldn't go very well. So, thanks, mate.
Thank you. And guys.
They have never had the order down.
How many more do we have?
We have
I think so, 4 left.
Yair, Silva, Jim Miller,
Do I do who let the dogs out?
For what?
For John
Silva.
Oh, yeah, you should. He won't. But do you even understand it?
He'll just hear the
That
barking
song
and
transcends time.
Yeah, do it.
he'll instinctively.
Do you know what that song is? Do you know what that song is about?
Yes, I think I do. I heard about this.
What?
No,
Do you
it's
know
not
what that
that
song's
deep.
about? Ugly women.
That's funny.
It's, the song is about how when he goes to the club and he's getting ugly women, quote unquote, so yeah, you should play it.
Quick question, is there any other time tomorrow I can do, or do I have my stuff?
Yeah, thank you. That was super helpful. Back on track.
No, actually, I think it's probably better, because I need to be at 3:30, so. Since I just have an hour tomorrow, is that right? Okay, well, I guess we'll just keep it at 2. If something opens up earlier, would you let me know? Yeah, just keep me in mind. Thank you so much. Bye.
When did you get it?
Last night at midnight.
Do you have travel issues as well?
Yair's next, gang. We would have, but we had changed our flight. They added stuff to do today. The red eye we were originally on got canceled. So Jonathan had to change his flight yesterday and the day.
What was the best quote from getting away first?
No one wants to watch mine. Yeah, right here. It's obviously been a while since we last seen you compete in the UFC octagon, but I think I saw an interview where you said, you had been back in the gym since like late last year. So I guess physically, how are you feeling, and just mentally, how are you feeling after this time off?
Yeah, I was actually mentioning like right after my last fight against Brian Ortega, I went to visit like 14 countries. It was like a crazy trip that I did with my girlfriend, and it was beautiful. It was amazing, and actually in that time, obviously I had fun, but I find times to like stay a little bit more in shape. We did a lot of activities, sport activities, and later, like by the end of the last year, I started like changing a little bit. Start putting more time into the gym. I start changing my habits a little bit. Right towards by the end of the year, I completely changed everything. I changed my mindset. I changed the way that I train, the way that I eat, my bad habits. I completely erased all the bad things that I was doing, and I changed it for something good. And if you could ask my body will be really thankful for that, because I can actually see the progress, the progress on my body, in my head, in my spirit, So actually, I think this is the best time that I have ever felt in my life.
Well, in that same interview, I think you said it's been a lot of years since you gave training camp the attention it deserves. So is that what you were referring to? Just cleaning up all the outside noise and just kind of focusing in on you and your team?
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to train. I was tired, not physically. I can take many things physically, almost anything, but I was just like tired, exhausted of having to go to the gym, making it so exhausting, meaning like for so many years. You have to remember, I have been doing this since I was 5 years old. Being in gyms, being in like rooms, training for hours since I was a baby. And whenever you really think about that, it kind of hits at some point in my life. It kind of like hit me, and the only thing that I wanted to do was just like kind of like forget about it, relax. And I feel like I was like losing time, losing life, losing my better years of being an athlete. And finally, when that kind of like came down to me, because it was like like a light, boom, that it came to me, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I need to like change my habits. I need to change everything that I'm doing, because I'm doing everything wrong, and I need to completely like erase and start back. And that's what I did, And as I'm telling you right now, I feel like another person, like another human being. I'm proud of myself because of that. Regardless of the outcome of the fight this Saturday, which I'm pretty sure I'm gonna win. But regardless of the outcome, I feel like a winner right now. Right at this moment, I feel like a winner. I feel proud of myself for all the things that I have been doing right, and I'm excited for Saturday.
Have your coaches noticed a big difference when you go to the gym now too?
I believe so. I think my training partners, my coach, my team, my family, my brother is super excited. He's a big believer that nobody can beat me. He's been telling me that all my life. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, nobody can beat you. You know that. Why are you doing the wrong things? You like to fuck around. You like to party. You like to do this or that. Come on. Like, he's always like trying to wake me up, and he's a huge believer of me. And I love him. I want to thank him for that, and for reminding me always that actually, yes, whenever it's my decision. Like you always have the decision of you have A or B. You decide how you want to act. You're going to act wrong or you're going to act right. And since I decided to act right, and that reminder came to me again, it's like I know I can do whatever I want in this life whenever I'm doing the right things, taking the right decisions. That's what I've been doing.
And Pitbull's told that story enough times where he was DMing you about accepting the fight, but even before that, he had been asking to come to the UFC and fight the tops. So when you were seeing near the end of his time at PFL that he was calling to come to the UFC, did you think it would be you that would be the one to welcome to the new promotion?
Honestly, no, I didn't know too much about Pitbull. Of course, I knew who he was, and I knew about his career. Opponents he had, great like knockout wins, submission wins that he had against great opponents, but I never looked too much into his career. The only thing that I need to look into is his technique, the holes on his game. regardless of who he has passed in the past, that's not me. So it doesn't really matter. You know, at the end of the day, he's gonna be facing a completely new person Saturday. Not only because it's me, it's because all the changes that I've been doing, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna show up and do my fucking job on Saturday.
And then just last one for me, unrelated to your fight, but you know, we spoke with Diego Lopes last week, and you know, there's some people online that troll him from Brazil because he lives in Mexico and trains in Mexico now, and they think he should be representing Brazil. So if he did win the title, would you view him as a Mexican champion, or would you view him as a Brazilian champion?
Let me tell you this. So this is something that it's not like I have a problem with. It's just like I don't agree with. I started my career in the UFC 2014. It's 2025. I have been living in the US for over 10 years, almost 11 years. My girlfriend's American, I speak English, and not because of that I'm representing the American flag to gain followers from America. I love this country. I have said this in the past. You can go back and look at my interviews. I love this country because it gives me the opportunity to have a job, meet great people, have great friends here. But not because of that I'm gonna say I'm American. I'm not. I'm Mexican. I'm proud of it. You know. So whenever you ask me, yes, I have a problem with that. You know, especially not of Diego. He's just doing his job by doing what he's doing right now. But more also my problem is with like what's up with people. I understand, you know, that he's great, he's exciting, and you know he's doing his job. But I just don't agree with it. I will never be that way, and I don't want to be that way. If he's doing it, good for him. If people wants to see him as Mexican, I don't have a problem with that. You know, I've been killing myself for over the last 10 years for my country. You know, if they decide to go with him at a moment where we have to fight or we have to face each other, that's on them, not on me, because I've been doing all the things that I, you know, representing my country. I have a bleed for my country. I have cried for my country. I have hugged the flag, and I can be more proud of being Mexican.
So just last one for me off of that then. If both you and Diego win on Saturday, how big of a fight would it be between you in Guadalajara in September?
That's what I'm picturing. That's if you ask me, that's what my visualization goes towards that. Obviously, not overlooking to this fight against Pitbull, but you actually have to be prepared for whatever. You know, you have to like kind of visualize what you want to happen, create it right in your head. So that's what I've been doing. I was actually texting Brandon Moreno right after his fight. I told him, "Hey man, congratulations! You looked awesome. I'm so proud of you. You have evolved a lot." He was like, "I know, man. Thank you so much. You know, and I can't wait to make this happen in Guadalajara." And I told him, "Let's make it two. Let's make it two championship in Guadalajara. It will be an historical event. So that's what I'm looking for."
Yeah, right here. Last night, news came out that Aaron Pico has signed with the UFC. I'm not sure if you trained with him at Jackson in the past, but what do you just think of his addition coming in? Obviously, he's got some work to do before he gets up to fighting guys like yourself, but what do you think of his signing?
I think he's a great fighter. You know, I think at some point he was a champion as well, if I'm not wrong.
I don't believe so, no.
No?
He was close. He was supposed to fight Pitbull before they both came over to the UFC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. Well, anyways, I know he trained at Jackson's, and I never trained with him in the past, but I have coaches that train him in the past, and they always express themselves super good about Aaron Pico, and I think he's a great opponent. You know, I think he's a great addition for the UFC.
Yeah, right here.
Yair, aquí.
Good.
Yep.
1-2.
Yeah, sorry. You know, he's Pitbull's coming in as a champion from another promotion, and there's been a lot of talk about that. You're actually, at a lot of sites, a modest favorite to win the fight. Is it kind of a weird situation to be the favorite to win a fight, but more people are talking about him coming in?
I don't. Honestly, I just don't care. You know, I know the guys come from another promotion. He's a great fighter. And I'm not focusing on like anything that anybody's saying or whatever the people who wants to put their attention on, because that's not in my hands. I can control what I can control, and you know, I'm just happy to be the one that is welcoming him to the UFC. I'm gonna show him the level that it takes to be in this company for however many years, and he's gonna feel it on Saturday.
He's not the tallest or longest featherweight. I think you have a 6-inch reach advantage on him. Do you think that's gonna play a big factor here?
Yeah, I think like it's a huge factor. Of course, no, I don't think it's something something that determines who wins or loses a fight is the reach. It's just like something that you have to deal with. As simple as that. You know, in the past, I have faced Volkanovski. He's shorter than me. He won the fight. Frankie Edgar, way shorter than me. He won the fight. So I don't think that has not much to do with it. And that is a matter of who's able to pull out the best strategy during the fight and adjust the best to the situation in there.
And last one for me, you mentioned Guadalajara, obviously another Noche UFC event. We had a big one last year in Las Vegas. What has the response been like from the Mexican fan base from what you've seen to these events?
It's been growing a lot. I remember back in 2014, when we first filmed the Ultimate Fighter, I remember that we had to go, like the UFC was obviously sending us to promote the company and the MMA into these TV shows and whatsoever. So we have to literally teach people about what MMA is, because people didn't know what MMA is. You know, some of them, even to this point, they think UFC is MMA, which in a way it is, right? But UFC is a promotion, MMA is a sport. And you have to like teach people about it, because it's like super young sport, right? And we as Mexicans, we had that chance to teach people about it, and then people start like looking and being like, wow, this is actually like really interesting. You know, that's why we kind of like move boxing aside, and now MMA is what it is in Mexico, is huge. I can tell you that.
Good to hear. Thanks.
Aquí, Yair, en español. ¿Nos puedes explicar en español un poquitico más lo que hablaste de Diego López, brasileño que entrena en México, no es mexicano? Pusiste el ejemplo tuyo, que llevas 10 años, 11 años, lo que sea, viviendo en Estados Unidos, que amas a este país, pero que eres mexicano. ¿Qué es lo que sientes? ¿Qué es lo que pasa cuando tú ves ese tipo? ¿Lo puedes explicar en español, por favor?
Sí, claro. Lo que mencionaba ahorita es que yo no tengo ningún problema cuando una persona... bueno, lo que me refiero es que yo no soy una persona que haga eso. Yo no soy una persona que me quiero colgar otra bandera para ganar fans de ese país, porque simple y sencillamente yo no soy así. Yo soy mexicano, yo nací en México, yo represento hasta la muerte mi país, así va a ser. Yo no porque me vaya a Brasil, ni no porque me venga a Estados Unidos o me haya venido a Estados Unidos a entrenar, ni aunque algún día saque mi green card, yo no voy a decir que soy americano, yo soy mexicano. Eso es lo que yo soy. Yo tengo que abrazar mi país, abrazar mi cultura y representarla de la mejor manera. No por mucho que me haya abrazado bien este país, porque lo ha hecho. Estados Unidos me ha abrazado como si fuera suyo. Me ha dado la oportunidad de trabajar aquí, me ha dado la oportunidad de ayudar a mi familia, de crecer en el deporte, de exponenciarme ante el mundo. Yo no digo que soy americano. O sea, es lo que yo no entiendo, ¿verdad? Muchas veces cada quien puede hacer lo que él quiera. Y yo creo que es como una estrategia más que nada, ¿no? Para ganar fans, que obviamente es lo que está funcionando para él. Bravo por él, pero es algo que yo jamás haría.
Y además, la siguiente pregunta, la última mía. UFC Guadalajara. Él vive en Guadalajara. Es decir, en caso de que ganes tú este sábado, en caso de que gane él, tú estabas explicando en inglés qué grande podría ser y que lo estás visualizando. Explícalo en español, por favor.
Claro que sí. Obviamente estoy enfocado en mi pelea en contra del Pitbull para este sábado, 12 de abril. Y obviamente tienes que ver del resultado que estás buscando tener durante la pelea, qué es lo que puede venir después, ¿verdad? Y prepararte para eso, visualizar lo que quieres que pase. Y lo que yo he estado visualizando, que sería algo precioso, que podría pasarle no solamente a mí, a Brandon, sería a todo México, que cambiaría la historia por siempre, es de tener dos contendientes mexicanos peleando por títulos en Guadalajara, que sería también el primer evento del UFC. Entonces yo creo que sería un evento histórico que cambiaría el curso de muchas cosas en México, sería aún más grande, llamaría muchísimo la atención y yo creo que traería todavía más fanáticos dentro del país.
Gracias, buena suerte.
Gracias.
Two more. Sir, go ahead.
Otro en español, por favor. Este sábado va a haber bastante gente mexicano y obviamente latinoamericano aquí en Miami para apoyarte. ¿Piensas que vas a sentir esa energía durante tu pelea y que te pueda ayudar a sentir esa energía de la raza?
Mira, algo estoy seguro. La raza sí está conmigo, siempre. Y yo les agradezco el apoyo. Pero ha habido veces que no he tenido ese apoyo, no de la raza, sino en general del público, ¿no? Se siente como más para uno y para el otro, y no puedes en realidad dejar que nada de eso afecte. Yo de corazón les agradezco a todos. Si me quieren apoyar, si quieren gritar por mí para que me vaya bien el sábado, les agradezco. Toda esa energía es bien recibida y me siento muy contento nada más de poder estar representando a toda mi gente mexicana, a todos los latinos, en un lugar que tiene mucha afluencia latina también. Les quiero mandar un saludo, un abrazo a todos y solamente decirles que disfruten esta pelea. Espero que les guste mucho y van a tener un resultado increíble, van a ver.
Y uno más, en un mundo perfecto, la próxima vez que te veremos pelear será en Guadalajara.
Y en el mundo perfecto sería en Guadalajara mi próxima pelea, así es.
Buena suerte.
Muchas gracias.
Yair, dos preguntitas bien rápido por acá. Te hemos visto entrenar mucho en lucha, en redes sociales y eso. En esta etapa de tu carrera mencionas que has hecho muchos cambios. ¿Eso es uno de ellos? ¿Veremos un Yair más versátil este sábado?
Así es, he hecho bastantes cambios. Ya ven que dice Islam, send them 2-3 years to Dagestan and forget. Bueno, mi coach es de Dagestan, tiene algún tiempo entrenando ya en el gimnasio BFS con mi coach también, es el head coach de lucha y fue campeón mundial, es amigo de Islam, de Khabib y de todos ellos. Entonces me siento contento, me siento confiado en su estilo de lucha, en lo que él me ha enseñado, en todo lo que me ha empujado, porque es uno de los que me ha empujado a mejorar dentro de todos los coaches también. Increíble, me siento muy contento, es una de las cosas que he estado haciendo diferentes. También he estado evolucionando en mi jiu-jitsu con mi coach Alberto, un cinturón negro de jiu-jitsu, y obviamente el striking, afinando siempre los detalles con mi coach Mike. Y bueno, con todo el equipo que tengo, lleno de campeones, todos con mentalidad ganadora, y me siento súper contento de finalmente poder mostrar estos resultados ante mí, porque esto también es para mí. Es algo que muchas veces obviamente se expresa ante el público, que quieres que la gente vea, pero no solamente es para eso, es algo para demostrarte a ti mismo de lo que eres capaz y de lo que tú crees que eres capaz, que lo puedes conseguir. Entonces, me siento capaz, soy capaz y lo voy a conseguir.
¿Significa que te vas a dejar la barbita y quitar el bigote estilo Dagestan?
Sí, ya estoy trabajando, llevo la mitad, pero vamos.
Vale, oye, y rápidamente, ¿cómo ves la pelea de Pitbull? No sé si tengas alguna predicción, pero me imagino que ya lo has estudiado. ¿Qué esperas del combate? ¿Cómo ves que se desarrolle?
Mira, simple y sencillamente por el tema de la altura que estábamos hablando ahorita, por el reach, él es una persona que es más bajita que yo, entonces obviamente va a tratar de cerrar distancia, ponérseme en la cara y tratar de conectar de golpes de cerca. De distancia, obviamente no tiene ninguna posibilidad, entonces no hay de otra. Él va a querer mantener una distancia cerrada y yo voy a tratar de mantener una distancia abierta. Si se llega al clinch, a la lucha, obviamente pues hacerlo lo propio, lo que he estado viendo, lo que he estado entrenando, en lo que tengo ahora mucha más confianza, y estoy seguro que el resultado va a ser positivo para mí.
¿Y cómo es el evento estelar entre Diego y Volkanovski? ¿Quién crees que va a quedar como campeón de la división?
No tengo comentarios al respecto.
Gracias.
Gracias. Gracias. Gracias. Thank you guys. Okay.
Serge? Yep, welcome.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
So talk to us about your preparation for this one. Dominick Reyes as an opponent, and what are you expecting from him on Saturday night?
Проговори про свою подготовку к этому бою, про Доминика Рейеса как твоего соперника и вообще как готовился, как себя чувствуешь?
Замечательно себя чувствую. Очень скучал. Хотел поскорее вернуться в бой. К К сожалению, мой предыдущий бой отменился, но мы считаем, что эта подготовка была промежуточная и сыграла тоже хорошую роль, так как у меня длительный простой. И сейчас я нахожусь в очень хороших кондициях, как мне кажется. Что касается Доминика Рейса, то отличный боец, жесткий парень. Я думаю, получится зрелищный бой.
I feel great, thank you. I missed this thing a lot. I've been trying to come back for a long time. Unfortunately, the last fight that was scheduled in November in New York, that didn't happen. But I don't think that camp was a waste. I think it was a great camp. I think we considering it to be like a stepping stone camp for this one. Because I haven't been in the octagon for so long, it's a good thing that I had a full preparation for that fight. So I'm excited, and I think I'm in one of the best shapes that I've been in a long time, or potentially in my life. And so, with this opponent, I think Dominick Reyes is a very good fighter. He's a very tough fighter. He's a great fighter, and I think that we're up for an exciting fight for everybody to see on Saturday.
You talk about the length of time you've been out of the cage. There's obviously a trade-off there, right? Because although you haven't had the experience in the cage, you have not been taking damage from fighting. Which balance do you think is right? Do you think you've been out of the cage for a little bit too long, or do you think you've been actually learned from this time away?
Ты проговорил про то, что достаточно долго не был в клетке. Можно на это смотреть две стороны. Во-первых, это плохо, что у тебя не было этого опыта за эти последние 2 года, но может быть и хорошо, потому что на тебя не было никакого урона нанесено за это время. Как ты рассматриваешь этот простой? Кажется ли тебе, что это было слишком долго, или кажется, это нормальное время?
Определенно это было достаточно долго, потому что у меня в карьере такого простоя не было, но это все опыт. И я думаю, что мы набрали во всех кондициях, и сейчас я нахожусь в лучшей форме, чем был до этого. Как скажется такой длительный простой в 2 года, мы уже увидим в эту субботу.
I mean, obviously this is way too long. This is the first time in my career that I've been out for so long. But I feel like I'm in a great shape. I feel like it's part of the experience, it's part of my career. It's also something that is going to potentially add to my experience in the UFC. How it's going to play out when it comes to the fight itself, I guess we'll have to see on Saturday, but I feel in great shape. I feel in good condition now.
Get it right here. You said, you've been trying to get back, but you just haven't been able to. Do you feel like kind of people forgot how good you were? Because, you are on this win streak. You do have a lot of stoppage victories, and the top of the division, they're kind of recycling a lot of rematches. Do you think you are kind of the forgotten contender at light heavyweight?
Ты говоришь, что долгое время пытался уже вернуться, не получалось, но кажется ли тебе, что люди позабыли о том, насколько ты хорош, потому что до твоего этого двухлетнего простоя у тебя была очень хорошая серия, на которой ты шел, ты достаточно высоко находишься в рейтинге, и последнее время там какое-то все время одно и то же, одни и те же бои, одни и те же люди. Не кажется ли тебе, что люди позабыли, насколько ты хорош?
Наверняка, потому что память у фанатов достаточно короткая, и нужно часто выступать, чтобы о тебе больше говорили и помнили. Но я настроен напомнить всем о том, какой я и какие бои показываю уже вот в эти выходные.
Yeah, likely, because the memory that the fans have are only as good as the last fight that you had. So unless you fight a lot, most likely people aren't talking about you, people don't remember you. But what I'm bringing right now is the mindset that I'm going to remind everybody why I was on that streak, why I was so good, and why I was talked about before I stopped fighting because of this layoff.
And the last time you fought, I think Alex Pereira was still a middleweight. So I guess what do you make of the top of the division right now compared to when you had that time off?
Последний раз, как ты бился, мне кажется, что Алекс Перейра вообще еще был в среднем весе. Поэтому как ты можешь сейчас оценить то, что происходит в топах твоего дивизиона?
Ну, ситуация за последнее время довольно часто менялась. Я не помню точно, был ли он в среднем дивизионе или уже провел бой с Блаховичем. Но я думаю, при благополучном выступлении в эти выходные у меня есть все шансы получить претендентский бой. И, конечно, мои чемпионские амбиции никуда не подевались.
You know, I can't remember exactly if he was still a middleweight or maybe at that point when I was still fighting, he was already fighting Blachowicz or had fought Blachowicz. I can't remember exactly.
I think it was 2 months before he went up, or so, a couple months before.
По-моему, за 2 месяца до того. But still, what I'm saying is that you know, there's a lot going on in the division, obviously, and my goal is to show an exciting fight this Saturday, and with a great fight, I think that I can get right into the contention conversation. And my ambitions to be a champion are still very much alive, and that's where I'm moving towards.
Just last one for me. What did you make of the fight between Ankalaev and Pereira? A lot of people seem to think it was boring, and they seem upset that Ankalaev won.
В бою против Анкалаева, против Перейры очень много людей говорили, что был неинтересный бой, был скучный бой, и очень многим он не понравился, они даже как-то расстроились. Какие твои мысли по этому бою?
Я не могу сказать, что он мне не понравился. Исход, в принципе, ожидаемый, но как будто бы я ожидал увидеть от этого боя немного большего. И, возможно, опасения Перейры оказаться внизу не давали ему идти вперед. А он почему-то решил работать вторым номером. Но мне кажется, что уверенность в защите от тейкдаунов в следующем бою даст ему возможность вести бой чуть острее. Поэтому результат был достаточно закономерным, на мой взгляд, потому что Анкалаев выполнил хорошую работу, но то, что бой не был зрелищный и не совсем походил на чемпионский, с этим я согласен.
I wouldn't say exactly that the fight was boring or not interesting, but you know, I expected that was going to be the outcome. I think it was pretty obvious. I think Pereira being afraid of being on the bottom, being taken down, kind of stopped him from moving forward, and he chose to work as number 2. He chose to be the counter puncher. I think now that he knows, we all saw what happened, he stuffed most of the takedowns, so I think now that he knows that doesn't have that much of a threat when it comes to takedown. Next fight, if they'll have a fight, he'll be much sharper. He'll be able to kind of implement his game plan more. I think that was still going to be the result because Ankalaev did his job. Now, can I say that it was an exciting fight? Obviously it wasn't, but I don't think it was boring.
Nikita, right here to your right. Just building on that, if Ankalaev defeats Pereira for the second time, do you see him as someone who could hold the belt for quite some time?
Если Анкалаев, у него получится победить Перейру второй раз, будет ли Анкалаев тот человек, который на долгое время задержит этот пояс? Удержит, извини.
Все зависит от того, как скоро я к нему доберусь.
It all depends on how fast I'll get up there.
Good answer. Just another quick one. When the fight at UFC 309 with Mirzakhanov fell through, was there ever talk of you getting another opponent, or was it just at that point he was out and it was off?
Когда бой провалился в ноябре против Азамата, был ли разговор какой-то другой соперник? Был тебе предложен, или как только тот бой отменили, ты сразу перестал думать, что будет бой?
Я просил любого соперника и наседал на своего менеджера, потому что мне очень хотелось подраться. У меня даже были мысли подраться в тяжелом весе. Если бы мне кого-то предложили, я был бы готов к этому. Но так как весь топ нашего дивизиона на тот момент был с боями, это было сложно сделать. Кого попало, мне бы не дали. Поэтому я просил дать бой на ближайший турнир, который было запланировано еще 2 или 3 до конца этого года. Но опять же повторюсь, что у всех бойцов нашего дивизиона были запланированы бои, поэтому мы ждали предложения как можно скорее. Замены не было предложено.
You know, I was actually very eager to fight, so as soon as I found out there was going to be a cancellation, I was on top of my manager the whole time. Please give me anybody else, another person. Obviously, I didn't want to fight just anybody. I actually even said that I was going to be able to come out as a heavyweight, so if there was somebody in the heavyweight, I was ready to come out and do a heavyweight fight. But I wasn't going to be fighting just anybody from my division. It had to be somebody worthy. So we kept on asking about it. I actually also wanted to do, I think there was 2 other events that were happening that year in December. So I was ready to fight any of those events. And I was saying that give me a worthy opponent. I'll come out both weights. And eventually nobody showed up to do everybody in my division was already taken. So there was nobody to fight.
I know you said you don't want to fight just anyone at light heavyweight, but if you had a heavyweight matchup, would you have fought anyone there? Would it have mattered then?
Ты сказал, что кого попало бы ты не взял как соперника в твоем весе, а если бы это был тяжелый вес, то ты бы с кем угодно там бы сразился?
Я сказал скорее, что кого попало, мне бы не дали UFC, потому что я топовый боец, и им интересно наверняка делать мне бои с кем-то из топ-дивизиона. Но, в принципе, я был готов к любому вызову, и мне было без разницы, с кем драться на тот момент.
I think what I meant was that UFC wasn't going to offer me just anybody because I'm one of the tops, so they weren't going to give me just anybody on the roster. So for me, though, I was ready for any challenges, and I was ready to fight anybody who was going to throw a challenge my way.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
We have time. Two more. One, two. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. Никита, привет. Несколько последних лет UFC не ставит флаг рядом с твоим именем. Скажи, пожалуйста, изменится ли что-то перед этим поединком и ведутся ли какие-то переговоры с лигой, что-то поменяется?
Last couple of years, there was no flag next to your name when you come out. I understand that there's a reason for that with the UFC. Have you been speaking to the UFC? Have you been talking to the production to see if they're gonna eventually put the flag? Will anything change?
Да, безусловно, уже к предыдущему бою я просил поставить город Кисловодск, Россию, потому что я уже продолжительное время живу в этом городе и могу представлять его. То, что продолжительное время флага не было, было связано скорее с тем, что основное место моего проживания был Донецк, а, как мы знаем, на политической арене много дискуссий на этот счет, и не всеми признана его принадлежность, поэтому я предпочитал выступать без флага. Но сейчас я рад с гордостью представлять Россию.
Yes, we spoke about it with the UFC. Actually, even 2 events before, I was asking about putting Kislovodsk, Russia, as the place that I'm fighting out of. I've been living there for a few years now, and I think that I now have the honor of representing them. The reason why a few events back there was no flag next to my name is obviously because most of my life I lived in Donetsk, and Donetsk is a city that's still being kind of not everybody still thinks where Donetsk belongs. So. At the moment, I think now it's good for me to have Russia next to my name, and I'm proud to represent Russia.
Еще вопрос, Никита. Скажи, с кем ты здесь? Кто в твоей команде? Кто помогает тебе с подготовкой?
Who are you here with? Who's in your team, and who's helping you prepare?
Здесь со мной моя команда, которая состоит из тренера, с которым я начал тренироваться еще в 2012 году. С помощью кого я, в принципе, был подписан в UFC, и несколько лет назад мы возобновили из-за того, что в 2014 году все так сложилось, нам пришлось разъехаться по разным краям, но уже с 2020 года, по-моему, мы снова тренируемся вместе, и я вижу огромный прогресс в этой работе. Также со мной мой постоянный спарринг-партнер с тех же самых далеких 2012 лет Павел Снегур, мой хороший друг Денис Тюлюлин, и небольшая группа поддержки из России тоже присутствует.
I have a coach here with me, the same coach that I started working with back in 2012. It just happened to be that in 2014, because of the political situation in the region, we had to split and go to different places. But since 2020, we have started working together again, and he's the reason, I would say, that why I got accepted into the UFC and I signed with the UFC. So we're working together with him, and then besides him, there's also one of my constant sparring partners, somebody I've been with for a long time, since back then as well. That's Pavel Snegur, right?
Yep.
And also Dennis Tulin, who's a good friend of mine, also a sparring partner of mine, and then a small group of fans that came all the way from Russia.
Last one, please. И как думаешь, если бы чемпионом в полутяжелом весе до сих пор был Джон Джонс, и Анкалаеву пришлось бы с ним встретиться, чем этот бой закончился бы?
If John Jones was still in this light heavyweight division, if he was still the champion in light heavyweight division, and Ankalaev was supposed to be fighting John Jones for the light heavyweight belt, what do you think that fight would look like?
Ну, мне кажется, Джон Джонс уже слегка подзаржавел в полутяжелом дивизионе, судя по тому, какими напряженными были его крайние бои в этой весовой. Непонятно, ну, в целом, да, как бы наступил ли тот момент, когда бы он дрался с Анкалаевым, либо же ему пришлось раньше, тогда Блахович был на хорошем ходу. Вот, я не говорю, что он бы мог его выиграть, но есть основания так полагать. Вот. Что касается Магомеда и Джона Джонса, я думаю, у Магомеда также достаточно ключей для победы, так как он более голоден, он молодой, и в принципе это был бы достаточно интересный бой. Я не могу прогнозировать, что бы произошло, но я бы посмотрел этот бой.
You know, I think that at that point, John Jones was starting to kind of get a little rusty back in the light heavyweight division, because if you look at the last couple of fights that he had in light heavyweight division, they were much harder for him than the fights previously. So I'm not sure if he would still be there to fight Ankalaev, or maybe if he would have to fight Blachowicz potentially, because Blachowicz was also at that point on a very, very good streak. And I'm not saying that Blachowicz could win, but you know, if you look at how he was doing, there is potential that that fight could have been won by Blachowicz. But now, if you're asking me about what would happen with Ankalaev and Jones at this point, I think that Ankalaev also has a lot of keys to victory because he's younger, he's more hungry, he has this victory in his sights. So I think it could be a very interesting fight.
Спасибо и удачи.
Спасибо, благодарю.
Last one. All good? Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
What's up, guys? What? Oi, Ivan, marca 500 ml aí.
Tá bom.
Se eu não te conhecesse, eu ia falar que você estava com uma peruca.
Well, John, right here. Obviously, we can tell you're very fired up for this fight week. So I guess just how's fight camp and just fight week been as a whole preparing for this fight against Bryce Mitchell?
Dá pra ver que você tá muito empolgado para essa luta, né? Como é que foi o camp? Como é que foi essa semana?
Fala, galera. Puta que pariu. Desculpa pelo palavrão, mas... Porra, isso é um sonho. Cara, eu não tô empolgado com a luta, saca? Eu tô empolgado com isso aqui, ó. Isso aqui é meu sonho. Eu sou ansioso para estar na frente de vocês, né? Vou concretizar esse sonho vivendo ele dia 12, né? Mas pra infelicidade, Bryce Mitchell vai apanhar.
God damn, pardon my cussing, but you know what, I'm really happy is not about the fight. It's about being here and doing this for you guys, and you know, I'm ready for the 12th, and the dream's going to come true then.
You know, Bryce was in here earlier, and he said he feels like there's more attention on this fight than maybe even the main event. You did an interview earlier and said, you know, you feel like you're carrying this entire card. So how has the hype surrounding this fight, what's it been like for you? Because even here in America, it seems like, you know, people are picking sides.
O Bryce estava aqui antes, ele falou que acha que tem mais atenção nessa luta do que na luta principal. Você deu aquela entrevista falando que sentia que estava carregando o evento. Como é que tá esse hype? Porque até aqui nos Estados Unidos estão falando muito essa luta.
Cara, é uma loucura, né? Eu nem tô lutando pelo cinturão e tô, de certa forma, aí chamando bastante atenção. Isso é incrível. O Bryce Mitchell é legal ele reconhecer isso, né? Isso é importante. A gente tem que dar mérito a quem merece esse mérito. Então, eu fico feliz com isso também, né? E vocês imaginam que eu tô indo, né? Vai ser minha 5ª vitória dentro do UFC. E já tô fazendo um barulho desse sem lutar pelo cinturão, irmão. A hora que eu lutar pelo cinturão, fudeu.
You know, it's crazy. I'm not even fighting for the title, and we're getting all this attention. And I'm glad that Bryce notices that. You know, I got to give credit where credit is due. But, you know, look at me, 5 fights in the UFC. Can you imagine the noise when I fight for the title?
He was in here and he was asked if this was personal with your comments and everything, because he says you treat him like shit. I saw an interview where you said you don't hate Bryce Mitchell, and then I told that to Bryce, and he goes, does he act like he loves me? He was asked if it was personal, and his exact words were, I'm going to personally whoop his ass. So I'm curious what you make of all of these comments.
Eles perguntaram se o Bryce estava levando essa luta pro lado pessoal, né? Que ele falou que você trata ele como um lixo, que você trata ele como um merda. Mas ele falou, pô, eu vou dar uma surra nele pessoalmente, na resposta para se ele leva pessoal.
Cara, olha que legal. Eu saí de uma festa da Armênia, né? Eu sei que o Bagdassan é da Armênia. E tô indo pra uma festa caipira, né? Porque ele é um caipira, então, pô, isso é loucura. Cara, sonhar, todo mundo sonha, ele já tá sonhando comigo já faz tempo, então tá tudo bem, sabe? Não tem problema, deixa ele continuar sonhando. Mas jamais respeitar ele, o atleta que ele é, o que ele fez, sabe, dentro do UFC. Ele lutou com os melhores, mas a pessoa dele, nem um pouco de respeito, nem um pouco. Eu fico triste por ele não tomar cuidado com as falas dele, independente do que ele acredita ou deixa de acreditar. Acho que quando você se torna uma pessoa pública, na qual você tem um poder na sua palavra, você tem que tomar muito cuidado, independente de qualquer coisa. E ele não tem esse cuidado, ele não respeita crianças, ele não respeita ninguém, entendeu? Não respeita Deus, que ele tanto diz que crê. Então, um cara que usa uma camiseta com a imagem de Jesus e 2 armas do lado, isso aí não faz muito sentido. Mas tudo bem, isso aí não interfere em nada, ele vai apanhar igual. E se ele acredita que ele vai me bater, isso é perfeito, né?
You know, I'm coming off of an Armenian party in my last fight into a hillbilly party for this fight. So, you know, anyone can dream, and apparently he's been dreaming about me for a while. You know, I never disrespected him as a fighter, his skills or his abilities. He's fought really tough guys in the UFC, but, you know, it actually upsets me that, you know, he can believe whatever he wants to believe, but it upsets me that he doesn't see the position that he's in as a public person and doesn't mind his words and disrespects people and children and everything else. And he talks a lot about God, but he wears, you know, a t-shirt with God with guns around it. So that makes no sense to me. So, yeah, it's a lot of contradictions.
At the press conference, you brought the Globe out. You were tweeting at him about his dreams. You posted a video clip of Inglourious Basterds. So I'm curious, have you enjoyed the build-up to this fight, or do you think maybe Bryce is taking this a little too personally?
Você levou aquele globo lá na coletiva naquele dia, você postou um clipe lá dos bastardos daquele filme, né? Você está curtindo esse momento, mas você acha que ele está levando demais pro lado pessoal também?
Eu quero acreditar que ele só esteja vendendo alguma coisa, luta em si, entrando na onda ali, porque se ele realmente tem essas opiniões que ele anda falando aí do bigode aí, eu acho que ele tem sérios problemas mentais. Mas não, ele não tá levando pro lado pessoal não, esquece isso aí. De certa forma ele já sabia de tudo isso aqui. Eu não sei se é a primeira coletiva de imprensa que ele participa, eu acho que não, né? Então ele já viu, tem muito tempo de casa, muito mais tempo que eu. Nessa parte aqui, a régua dele é mais extensa que a minha, então ele sabe como funciona esse jogo, então pro lado pessoal não. Acho que para tocar no lado pessoal dele eu teria que falar mal de Deus, então isso nunca vai acontecer, né? Então, não tá levando pro lado pessoal não. Tem algumas coisas ou outras ali que eu sei que mexe na cabeça dele ali e eu vou, devagarzinho eu vou vendo até onde ele vai.
You know, I really hope that he's just trying to sell the fight and promote the fight, because some of the opinions and beliefs that he's got about, you know, the guy with the mustache is just incredible. You know, it's I don't even know what to say, but you know, I don't think he's taking it personally that hard, because for him to take it personally, I think I would need to speak about God, and I'm not going to speak badly about God. So, no, I don't think he's taking it that personal.
And last one for me, outside of the hype and the build-up, how do you see this fight playing out? Because, you know, Bryce has been in the top 15, so he's clearly a good fighter. Heavy grappler, he's dominated a lot of very high-level strikers. So how do you see the fight actually playing out?
Fora o hype, fora tudo que estão falando, como é que você vê essa luta desenrolando? Porque, bem ou mal, o cara é um top 15, o cara já lutou com todo mundo, então qual é a luta mesmo?
É ele! É maluco!
Sean, right here. It's Daniel Cormier.
Não é ele? Ah, não, Bryce Mitchell?
Não, eu disse.
Ah, mas é igualzinho, pô. Enfim. Cara, é um excelente atleta. O Bryce, ele é um excelente atleta. Cara, ele ganhou... Ele lutou com o Topuria. Ganhou do Edson Barbosa. Ganhou do Dan Ig. Cara, ele lutou com grandes nomes dentro do UFC. Grandes. Né? Até o Josh Emmett jambrolhar a cabeça dele e causar alguns danos cerebrais. E de lá ele ficou maluco. Cara, eu analiso muito as emoções do cara, então pra essa luta, eu confesso que se fosse antes do nocaute dele, seria bem complicada essa luta pro Jean, sendo sincero. Mas depois dessa luta que ele foi nocauteado, as emoções tá diferente, o jeito que ele vê isso aqui não tem a mesma felicidade que antes. E então eu vou jogar com isso aí, eu vou mexer com isso aí lá dentro do octógono. Mas, lógico, sem desrespeitar o passe que ele tem, que é gigantesco, né? Que é o grappling. E a luta vai se desenrolar da seguinte maneira, que não é segredo pra ninguém. Ele vai tentar me quedar e eu vou defender queda e jogar a mão na cabeça dele. Se ele não cair no primeiro round, ele vai apanhar 3 rounds seguidos. E aí vão ter que aposentar ele por dano cerebral, realmente.
He's an excellent fighter. Listen, he's fought Ilia Topuria. He beat Edson Barboza, Dan Ige. Everything was going good until that knockout, until he got knocked out by Josh Emmett. And I think that really messed up his brain and his emotions, and everything just kind of went wrong. You can tell that he's not looking at this the same way that he used to look at it before. It just really messed him up. So, you know, the fight's going to go. He's going to try to take me down. I'm going to defend it, and I'm going to throw some shots at his head. Might knock him out in the first, in the second. We'll see, but, you know, maybe he'll need to retire after this, because he's going to have some brain damage after this one.
Thanks. Jean, right here. Last night, news came out that Aaron Pico has signed with the UFC. Just wanted to get your thoughts on his addition to this featherweight division.
Anunciaram ontem que o Aaron Pico assinou com o UFC. O que você acha da adição dele na categoria?
Cara, um problema, né? Assim como o Pitbull assinou, aumentou o problema ali também. O Aeropico é um problema. Tá maluco, brother. Mas é legal, né? Então a gente vai poder testar, medir forças entre o UFC e Bellator, de certa forma, né? Então isso vai ser legal. Vai ser legal a gente mostrar a qualidade, o nosso tamanho e o nível que os atletas do UFC têm comparado com outros, né? Então a gente já começa esse final de semana aí com o Pitbull medindo forças com o Yair Rodriguez, né? Que ainda não é do UFC, o Paddy chegou agora e vamos ver. Complicado tudo isso, mas é legal, cara. Acho que é um bom jogo de promoção aí. E pra minha categoria só complica um pouco mais, né? Que se eu tivesse que bater em 12, agora eu tenho que bater em 13.
He's a problem. Aaron Pico's a problem. Just like Pitbull signing, he's also a problem. You know, but it's cool to see these guys coming in, and we can kind of, you know, match up with the UFC against Bellator. You know, we kicked that off this weekend with Patricio fighting Yair Rodriguez. But you know, it just makes my division more complicated. But you know, if I had to beat 12 guys, no, I got to beat 13.
All right. Gene, right here to your right. Over here. Here. Gene. There we go. Have you thought about, I mean, even if it's because of things that Bryce said that people are angry about, have you thought about the opportunity this is giving your career, that people are really getting behind you going into this fight?
Apesar de tudo que ele falou, que tá todo mundo contra e tal, você já pensou na oportunidade que virou isso para você, as pessoas falando de você?
Uma boa pergunta isso aí. Ai, caraca. É uma boa... Tá chegando mais perto. Cara, uma boa de uma oportunidade, né? Se a gente for parar pra olhar assim. Mas é uma oportunidade que eu e o meu time todo, minha esposa, a gente vem trabalhando, estudando pra receber ela de braços abertos e pronto, né? Você tem que estar pronto. E então tudo que está acontecendo a gente ensaiou, inclusive essa entrevista aqui. Lógico que a gente não sabe quais são as perguntas que vocês iriam fazer agora nesse momento, mas a gente ensaiou tudo, como responder, como fazer. Então é uma oportunidade dada para uma equipe no momento certo.
That's a great question, you know, but we are all looking at it as an opportunity. You know, we worked hard for this, me and my team and my wife and everyone, and you know, anything that you see has been rehearsed and played out. Obviously, we don't know what questions are going to be asked, but you know, we all play this out prior to it happening. So it's a great opportunity for everyone.
With that in mind, you brought a globe to the last press conference. Anything planned for tomorrow?
Você levou o globo lá na última coletiva e amanhã tem alguma coisa planejada?
Como eu disse, né? A gente planeja tudo. Tem, lógico que tem, lógico que tem. Bom, vocês olhando pra mim, vocês podem ter toda... Você já sabe, mas vocês podem ter toda a certeza do mundo que se querem ver um show de boa briga, me coloquem uma luva na mão. Se vocês querem ver um show, um espetáculo em frente a uma câmera, só me dá um microfone aí e uma atenção.
Like I said, we plan everything out, so of course there's something planned out for tomorrow. You know, you guys already know it, but you want a good fight, you put gloves on my hand, and if you want a good TV moment and good sound bites, you give me a microphone.
Thank you.
Do you see any holes in Bryce Mitchell's game? If so, what are you going to do to take advantage of them?
Você vê brecha no jogo dele, o que você vai fazer para explorar isso?
Eu não vejo brecha, sabe? Tipo, ver brecha, assim, não existe isso. Que o gameplay dele mesmo é o único de sempre, é botar os caras pra baixo. Então trocação ele não tem. E ser sincero, irmão, eu quero ver mesmo, eu quero ver do que ele é feito, quero saber se ele é forte, se o grab dele é bom mesmo. É isso, sabe? E a hora que eu for botar ele na minha frente em pé de novo ali, eu vou cortar ele inteiro, entendeu? Eu vou nocautear ele, não existe isso, não tem outra parada. Eu não jogo com juiz, saca? Eu jogo com o meu time e a gente trabalha pra fazer isso. Então, brechas, cara, acho que é uma palavra meio estranha de se olhar pra um atleta, principalmente do nível dele, entendeu? Só pode dar uma brecha pra um cara que não sabe o que tá fazendo, e ele sabe, entendeu? E a parte mais legal é que ele sabe que vai ser nocauteado.
It's not that I see holes, you know. I think that's even a weird way to put it, because at his level, you know, that he'd be giving someone openings, and I don't think that's what he's going to do. So, you know, I'm ready to go in there and, you know, see what he's about, see how good his wrestling, his grappling really is, to see how strong he really is. All I know is that when we're standing up, I'm going to cut him up and I'm going to knock him out.
You and Bryce have been going back and forth on social media. How has what he said fueled your motivation and your training?
Estão trocando farpas aí nas mídias sociais e tal. Do que ele falou, como é que isso te motivou no treino?
Não, nada. Ele não me motiva em nada. Nem o que ele fala, nem o que ele pensa. O que me motiva é essa galera que tá aqui, comigo aqui, ó. Minha esposa, meu preparador físico, meu nutricionista, meu head coach de grep, meu empresário. É essa galera aí que motiva, o meu câmera. Hoje eu tenho uma câmera só meu, caramba. O bagulho tá melhorando. É isso aí que me motiva. E saber o que a gente vai conquistar após os nossos grandes feitos. Isso me motiva. Agora ele, cara... Nada, o que me motiva nada. O que me motiva são as pessoas que estão comigo diariamente.
He doesn't motivate me at all. You know, what really motivates me is being here. It's you guys, it's my team, my wife. You know, I got a cameraman now. Can you imagine that? I got a camera guy following me around. So, you know, I don't care. He doesn't motivate me. It's just the people that are there with me every day.
All right, thank you.
Jean, you started training because you loved fighting in the streets. Could you share your wildest street fight story?
Você começou a treinar porque você brigava muito na rua, né? Conta uma história aí da a briga mais louca na rua.
Eu gosto disso aí, hein? Cara, a briga mais louca na rua, sendo bem sincero, foi em frente ao colégio. Foi o último colégio que eu estudei antes de ser expulso, né? Depois eu voltei a estudar, enfim. E aí tinha um moleque mal folgado lá na escola tirando eu. E a gente queria saber quem era o mais folgado, sinceramente era isso. E a gente foi à frente do colégio, quis sair na mão. E aí, cara, simplesmente a gente se enrolou na porrada. E aí eu tava apanhando do cara e a gente caiu no chão, aquelas coisas loucura de criança. E aí eu dei uma mordida no braço dele e eu fiquei famoso na escola por causa disso.
I like that. You know, the most memorable one is the last school that I went to before getting kicked out, and there was this one guy that liked to, you know, just be an ass to people, and we decided to see who was the biggest ass outside the school. So we went out there and we, you know, just kids brawling, and you know, I was getting beat up until we went to the ground and I bit his arm, and I just became famous for that at school.
Did Mike Tyson inspire you with biting his arm?
Mike Tyson te inspirou para morder ele?
Ô, as mordidas estão ficando famosas, irmão. Tá ligado, né? É, mas a gente tá falando de uma grande lenda aí.
Yeah, biting has been around lately, but yeah, he's a huge legend.
Hey, John, over here. So during your fights, I've noticed you do a lot of like handshakes, pointing, and you know, high fives. Is that something you're going to try to do against Bryce or no?
Na tua luta, você aperta a mão ali, dá o joinha, pô, você faz um monte de coisa diferente. Você vai fazer isso contra o Bryce também ou não?
Tô levando coisas novas. Como eu falei. Não preciso, não é segredo pra ninguém que as pessoas já estão até comentando. Em meio a uma briga não cumprimenta a Gia Silva, que senão acontece isso. Eu só tô feliz ali naquele momento, mas tudo isso realmente é estratégia do que eu gosto de fazer lá dentro pra levar o cara a sucumbir ao meu jogo. E o Bryce Mitchell não vai querer me cumprimentar, e essa é a melhor parte, que eu vou mexer com a cabeça dele, ele vai ficar confuso, e escuta bem o que eu tô falando, ele vai querer me cumprimentar no meio da luta.
You know, I'm bringing new things in, but I see those people even saying online, oh, don't shake Jean's hand in a fight, or this is what's going to happen to you. And you know, I like doing that. That's part of my strategy to get the guy to succumb to my game and come into my game. But you know, we'll see. But I don't think he's going to want to shake my hand, and that just means I'm in his head.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Tá ao vivo isso aqui ainda? Hã?
Tá ao vivo?
Não, ainda não tá ao vivo. É gravado. Pode parar aqui pra foto, por favor. No sábado é ao vivo. Acabou. Obrigada. Obrigada por esperar. Maneiro.
Stand in the light a little bit, a little more in the light.
Tá filmando ainda?
Mas não é ao vivo, é gravado.
Mas eles vão soltar depois, né? Ó.
Maybe after the pose or fight. He wants to do something else. Oh, okay, sure. Faz aí.
Ó, presta atenção aí. Pela primeira vez, nossos óculos vai estar sendo vendido, cara, na área do evento ali, tá? Vai ter uma lojinha pra vocês. Então pode ir lá e comprar de vocês, valeu? Vambora!
Jim right here.
Yep.
Obviously, it's not your first time doing these media days, but fighting a guy that we presented this to Chase, and you have more UFC fights than he has years on this planet. So, not every day you fight guys that much younger than you. So, I guess what went through your mind when Chase Hooper's name came across your desk?
I have more UFC wins than he has years on this earth. It's a fun fight. I've been watching Chase for a little bit now. He's a talented fighter. Thank you. It's a fight, and like I've seen just about everything at this point, inside that octagon and a lot of it outside. So for me, it's just about doing what I need to do to be prepared and being as good a version of myself on Saturday night as I can be. If I do that, it does not matter who is in front of me, what skill set they have, whether they're a couple inches taller than me or not. I saw a bunch of people pointing out that he's 6'1". It's like I have fought guys that were 6'4". Like I've got quite a few wins over guys that are 6 foot and above. So like some of those silly things that everybody likes to talk about, they don't matter. Like he's young, he's talented. He's doing really good at lightweight. I honestly believe that a lot of fighters could benefit from going up as opposed to the going down, in weight class. So yeah, that's what I got to deal with. I got to deal with a young, hungry dude, and I'm prepared. I feel great, and I'm ready to put on a show on Saturday.
After his win over Clay, someone presented your name to him at the press conference, and he said, "Oh yeah, that'd be a good fight." And then obviously, as you know how it goes, all the headlines are Chase Hooper calls out Jim Miller. So I'm curious, did you see that quote unquote call out that wasn't really a call out right away? And did you say like, "Oh, that's probably what I'm fighting next"? Then
I thought about it. Honestly, my phone went off right after he said that. My coaches were like, "Great fight, we like it," So it's silly how sometimes the littlest things turn into like headlines, and we live in the world of reality TV. So him just having my name mentioned to him turns into like some crazy call out. But it's like I said, it's a great fight. I'm excited for it. I'm a fan of his, and I always like I get more pumped up when I've seen a guy fight a bunch of times, and I enjoy watching him fight because this stuff excites me, So that's why I'm still doing it. So yeah, I'm just ready to go, and feeling great about it.
I spoke to him earlier, and he kind of compared. This isn't new to him. Like his second fight was against Alex Caceres, and he fought Clay Guida, and now he's fighting you. And he's like, "What am I going to bring to the table that they haven't seen?" Because they've had like 75 fights between all of them. He goes, "My job is to just not care, and I respect what they bring." Is that the right attitude that you would tell young fighters to have? Like, yeah, you might be fighting a guy with triple the amount of fights of you, but you can't care about that. You have to disrespect that, basically.
Absolutely. That's absolutely the right. That's the same exact attitude that I had. Like when I was coming up, on the local circuit in Jersey, I wasn't training to fight the guys that I was fighting. I was training to fight BJ Penn. Like that's who I had in my sights. And the guy that worked at the tire shop, was just somebody in my way. And like we obviously like prepare specifically for people and understand that certain opponents bring certain things to the table, but it's very weird like how much emphasis goes on that. Honestly, in my opinion, like I am worried about myself when I'm training. Like that's the biggest thing, is being healthy, being sharp, being good at the things that I'm good at. Because my goal was to make it a Jim Miller fight, which is, you've seen me fight plenty of times. Like it's going to be gritty. I'm going to go in. I'm going to push the pace and push the scrambles, and that's what I want. That's where I thrive. So, like I appreciate that attitude, and I do believe that's the way everybody should be coming to the table. I mean, that's why I've taken so many of these fights when I've had opponents drop out. Like I think I've had at least 10 guys, maybe more, like drop out of fights, and to me it's like, if I'm ready to fight, I'm ready to fight. It doesn't matter who's standing in front of me. So you know, and preparing for that date has made it that way, that like, oh, well, now I'm fighting a righty over a lefty, or, you know, a striker over a grappler. It doesn't matter, because I'm ready. I'm prepared to fight. And that's helped me get a few more wins under my belt. That's helped me make more money. That's helped me advance my career, you know? So like, yeah, being ready to fight and being willing to take on all comers really is a great attitude, I believe.
A lot of people view this as like you giving Chase the opportunity to fight a veteran. Can you remember when maybe a veteran gave you your first shot? Like when you were considered the young guy going up against the older fighter?
I don't know. I mean, when I fought, it wasn't necessarily that, you know, like he was in the UFC for longer than me. But when I fought Dwayne Ludwig, it was like, whoa. Like, to me, it's like, I mean, I heard about that guy. Like, I used to watch him on whatever it was, ESPN2 or something like that, you know, like the K1 days and stuff like that, where Saturday mornings they'd show some kickboxing, right? And like, I knew about him for a long time, and that was a guy that was like, whoa, like I'm fighting this guy. Like I've seen him fight, you know, for years. So yeah, I think that was probably the first time that something like that happened to me.
And just last one for me, unrelated to your fight, but you know, you're not overly active on social media, so when you are, it kind of catches everyone's attention. You went on those tweets about the eye pokes, right? Yes. And I think your phrase was, "It's not the gloves, it's the culture." So, can you expand on that a little bit, because people may have been confused about what?
Yeah. So, a lot of the idea that people that have like never actually been taped up and put those gloves on is everybody thinks it's the gloves, and they look at Pride as the example of like, this is how you prevent eye pokes. You have a glove that has a slight curve to it. And there are a couple different considerations that we need to look at other than just the difference in gloves when it came to Pride, right? They really, really appreciated the fighter spirit, right? They were pushing that, and it's like, you went out there and you fought your ass off. It didn't matter win or lose. If you fought gritty and you fought hard and you went in there to finish the fight, and that's how fights were judged as well, on how much you tried to finish the fight, not some point system that was adapted from boxing. You got the opportunity to come back, and everybody wanted the opportunity to come back, because, you know, it was Yakuza money. They're paying cash. Like, guys are smuggling, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, maybe more than that, you know, back into the U.S. So that's one thing, right? Like, fighting hard. Another thing that often gets overlooked is like, those guys were sauced out of their minds, like to the point where the Japanese were testing them to see what drugs they were on so they could put their fighters on the same drugs.
Probably greased.
Yeah, right. So it's like they were. From what I know, I don't know too much about, you know, performance enhancers, but I'm pretty certain that steroids make you a little bit more aggressive. But then I think the biggest thing that often gets overlooked, right, is the rule set. They had cards, right? I think it was a green card and a yellow card, which were, if the ref gave you a card, it was an immediate 10 or 20% deduction from your purse. So you are immediately fining someone. Eye gouges and eye pokes are the same thing. So if it happened, they were immediately fined 10 to 20% of their purse. And if the fighter that was poked was unable to continue, the fighter who committed the foul lost. They were DQ'd. We get talked to in the back by the refs every time. And it's always, hey, keep your hands closed, keep your hands, none of this. And then you'll go in the fight and your opponent goes like this, and again, it's another warning. And a lot of times the referees in the back say, hey, this is your first warning. But then they give 2, 3, 4 warnings again inside the octagon. And then a poke happens. And then immediately, whose fault is it? Who gets the pressure is the fighter that just got their eyeball poked in, right? The pressure goes to that person to continue the fight. The pressure doesn't go on to the other guy. Like they're not they're not necessarily going to lose unless it's one of those situations where it goes to the cards now and this and that, right? It's either going to be a no contest or they're going to go to the judges' scorecard and they're going to see how it fans out. I would like somebody, you guys are, more into the data of this stuff than I am, and I don't know if there's an easy way to track this, but how many times is the fighter that has been poked in the eye won the fight? I don't recall it being very often, right? It sucks. It is not a good thing to be in a fist fight and get your eye poked. I believe that we need to treat them like a foul. And we all know how to keep our hands closed. We do. And a lot of that cultural aspect of it, right, is that like the pressure when you get here is to stay here. Like it's harder to stay in the UFC than it is to get to the UFC. So it's win at all costs. And when you get into that flurry, right, and I don't want to get hit, I don't want to get clinched, I don't want to get taken down, you start to get tentative and you push people away. And that's when a lot of them happen. There are occasionally the ones that like somebody's swinging and reaching for someone and their hand opens up. There's the Leon against Bilal when it was like his thumb. Like that one is a serious accident, right? We use instant replay for a lot of this stuff. If the fight gets stopped because of an eye poke and the ref looks at the replay and it is a strike being thrown with open fingers, it should be, in my opinion, an immediate point and there should be a fine.
How would you handle inactivity then? Because Pride also gave out cards and fines, like you said, for inactivity.
I don't know. I don't know how to be inactive. I think that we could do something like that as well. I think that eye pokes honestly is a serious problem, and I think we need to address it very seriously. If too many fighters, which I don't think too many fighters are being inactive. If they wanted to, potentially do something like that, like inactivity or passivity or stalling, whatever you want to call it, maybe come up with something for that as well. But like I said, the eye poke thing is like, a fighter can be inactive and just not want to get hit or take damage. Usually, that's not a winning strategy. Open your hand up once or twice. It seems to be a pretty good winning strategy at this point. So I honestly, I think the fouls need to be punished accordingly.
Jim, right here. Yep. Just to build off of that, to your right.
There you are. I saw an arm over there.
Just to build off that, Phil Davis came out earlier this week and said, if a fight ends because of an eye poke, that should be a DQ. Someone should lose, someone should win, because if you have a sport with two people or even a race with two people and one guy falls out, well, the other guy's the winner. Would you go as far as doing that? You mentioned the Pride situation.
Yeah, I would. And honestly, if that was the case, if you knew that you were going to get disqualified for a poke, I guarantee that you're going to see a dramatic drop in the amount of pokes that you see. There are accidents do happen. It does happen. Like I have been close to poking people in the eye in grappling situations, and when I fought Donald Cerrone the first time, he hurt me to the body in the very first exchange of that fight. And I remember exactly where we were in the octagon. He had me against the cage in his corner, and I tried to shove him away because I wanted some fucking space. And I felt my finger go into his eye a little bit, and like he hit me really, really hard right after that. But like, had the ref stop the fight for it, hey man, like I'm a big boy, I'm a grown man. Like it was my fuck up. That's why it happened. I was hurt. I didn't want to be in that situation, And if we're gonna have rules, we should follow them. So like, I honestly do believe that if we're going to start actually treating the foul like a foul, then it should be something that causes a disqualification.
And then on to the fight. We had Chase in here earlier. He's had 10 fights. This is going to be his 11th. Obviously, you are at 45 going into 46. He was asked about the possibility of, him going to, a career like yours, being around for that long. He said, hey, I probably wouldn't want to. I mean, you are kind of an outlier, even among your peers, with going this long and staying with it. I mean, what do you attribute that to? What sets you apart from so many guys who, a lot of whom say, I don't even want to fight this long?
There's a lot. There's a lot that's happened over the years. I came into this organization kind of on fire, right? I went 9-1 in this division, and was knocking on the door for my opportunity at the world title, and I've dealt with some things along the way, when I fought Benson in that 11th fight that I had in this promotion, I ended up having mono, and because of that, I ended up giving myself a kidney infection. I should have been in the hospital instead of the octagon that night, and I still got 6 submission attempts awarded to me in that fight. There were another 6 more that weren't given to me. I knocked him down in the last minute or two of the fight, and in the last few seconds of the fight, he ran away from me. I was still this close to finishing him, as sick as I was. So I do believe that had the cards fallen in a couple different, a different way, in a couple different fights, I could have had my opportunity at the world title, and could have been a world champ. And then, things kind of went pretty south for me in 2013 when I was bit by a tick, and then it's just those things started compounding, right? The symptoms that I was feeling started compounding. I thought it was life as a fighter. Oh, my knees hurt, my body hurts, my legs are going numb when I sit on the floor. It was just things that you would kind of attribute to a life of combat. But when I was diagnosed in 2016, I made some serious changes to the way that I approach my health, changing my diet, changing my recovery, and really kind of being a bit smarter with it. Not like I ate like crap before that, because I was one of the best lightweights on the planet. But I really got serious with, getting a lot of the processed bullshit out of there. And honestly, I think that is one of the reasons that I've had this longevity, is that I had to get serious about it, in my early 30s, right? It sucks that my athletic prime was stolen away from me by a fucking tick bite, but it's a lesson that I made sure I learned some stuff from. So I've made a lot of decisions based on that I think that have added to my longevity. I've surrounded myself with some really great people over the years that have helped me. I downsized my gym, right? I went from one of the bigger gyms in New Jersey to opening up my own place and consolidating my team. And, that was when I was sick, before I knew that I was sick, and I wouldn't have survived somewhere else, honestly. Not being the guy kind of in control of training. I consider myself very coachable, and if somebody asked something from me, I was going to do it. And even run down, even beat up, even on my worst days, I would have kind of followed orders and done what I had to do. But that's kind of one of those lessons that I learned, is I have to gauge myself, because my day-to-day is different than anybody else's day-to-day. And even though it's hey, today's hard sparring day, if I'm in camp and I'm banged up, now I'm going in there against a bunch of guys that aren't training on my schedule. They're not doing the extra stuff that I'm doing because they're not in fight camp. Well, they're a lot fresher than I am, so I have to be careful, right? And it might not be my day to go super hard. So I kind of learned how to gauge myself and to make those smart decisions. And yeah, it's I didn't enjoy a lot of the lessons as I was being taught them, you know, over the years, but I definitely tried to learn from every single one of them.
Jim, right here. You're right. I guess just a three-parter here. Is 50 fights still the plan? Is there a clear timeline in your mind for that? And is number 47 in New Jersey in a couple of months?
The 50 fights is still the plan. Yep. You know, I'm feeling good, and I feel like I could definitely hit that. I'm also taking it fight by fight as well. You know, and it's really the fight camps. The fight camps are the hard part. There are fights that I've come out of, you know, changed, but it's usually that like 8 weeks of just, you know, grinding yourself into a nub, trying to prepare to do battle, right? What was the other part of that? Sorry.
For 47, would New Jersey be too soon?
Yeah. 47. That's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. I guess it all depends on how Saturday goes. You know, I do want to fight in New Jersey. You know, in Newark, because that's kind of, even though Newark, like if you know New Jersey, Newark is like a different country compared to where like I live. You know, I'm like 3 miles from Pennsylvania, so I'm out in the woods. But the Prudential Center is kind of my home arena, so yeah, it would be a tough one. But yeah, if things go well Saturday, then maybe we'll have to do that.
All right, over here.
Yep.
When you look back at your early fights compared to now, how has your mindset evolved over the years?
It's evolved a lot. You know, I used to, like, I suffer from really bad tunnel vision when I'm in there, and suffer might be the wrong word. And it might sound weird for somebody to say this, but like I have pretty good ability to compartmentalize and focus on the guy that's trying to punch me in the face, and that might seem weird, but there are a lot of times that you can tell. Like having cornered fighters and my brother and listened to plenty of interviews and stuff. Sometimes fighters carry outside interference into the octagon, and I've always been very good at shutting that off. You know, and my music plays, that first note plays of my walkout song, and I don't really see anything besides the octagon. I step inside the octagon. I don't see outside it. So like, it's easy for me to focus, but like in the past, I used to get like just super like, hey, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm fighting to my strengths, and sometimes opponents would do the right thing and defend those and counter those, and I never I lost a few fights that I could have adapted and changed my style. Maybe fought a little bit more conservatively. I wouldn't have been happy with myself if I had done so, but changed up the game plan a little bit in there with what my opponent was bringing to me, and could have turned things around and made it a better night. But I was always so just like laser focused on what I had to do, and now I found that like just having a little bit more fun and being a little more loose when I go out there, and really kind of just embracing the situation and really appreciating it. I'm more dangerous that way. So yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty crazy, like warming up in the back and watching the younger guys and seeing them go through the same motions that I used to go through, and like, they're you can see that they're like forcing the scowl. They're like trying to make themselves like intense and angry, and maybe that's optimally, maybe that is what they need, but me, I'm like trying to fight back the smiles, and like I'm just cheesing back there, and it's really cool to kind of almost be like a little bit of like the fly on the wall for that type of stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to step onto the canvas and I'm going to do what I'm here to do, and I don't need to create some like fake level of rage or something like that in order to be dangerous. I've done the reps, I've put in the time. So yeah, I find that I'm a lot calmer, a lot more open-minded when I'm in there fighting now.
You have fought legends and future stars. Who is the toughest opponent you have faced?
That's a really difficult question. Like you get to this level, man, and you're a stud. It's like I was asked the question, before, like, how does the average person, do in the octagon? And it's like, well, I mean, that's the kind of the thing, right? It's like to get to this level, like to be somebody that trains, even to train jiu-jitsu, to train MMA, Muay Thai, boxing, like you're already a step in that direction. To get to the level of the UFC, I mean, there are a lot of guys that are coming in with a few fights, a handful of fights, a half a dozen fights, but like they're still putting in the work. So you've already kind of separated yourself from the pack a little bit. I mean, I have to say that, like, my fight with Dustin, it was gritty, it was grueling. My Muay Thai coach, Amr Ibrahim, he still talks about it. He's like, man, when I was walking into the octagon, he says he saw Joe Rogan's face at the end of the fight, and he's like Joe Rogan looked like he was looking at like a car accident, to know, like, post fight, right? He ends up going to the hospital, and they're like threatening to cut his calf open because they didn't want him to, get compartment syndrome or something like that, and to try to reduce the swelling. And it's like, to take those kicks continually, and in the back of my head, it's like, oh man, only a couple more and maybe he wouldn't have been able to get up. But he's a tough dude. But like I said, there's a lot. There's been a lot of tough guys in front of me.
All right, thank you.
Jim, one question from me. Your wife has been by your side for a long time through your whole career. What type of advice did she give you early on in your career, and how has that advice changed?
How much did she pay you to ask that question? My wife, she's just supportive. She's just always been there for me. I mean, we met just before my second fight, so she kind of had to accept the fact that I was a fighter, right? So, like, because I was already doing it, but I don't really, I don't know about, like, advice, really. It's kind of just like she's gonna have my back, and I know that, no matter what I do. And we did have a conversation the other day, and I see some of these other guys that they step away and then they come back, and that's not something that I want to do, right? Like, I want to what's that? No thanks. Maybe some of the YouTube boxing, but like, when it comes to MMA, right? Like, I want to be done with it. Like, when I'm done here, I want to be done with it. And I know it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really, really freaking hard to just shut it off and to not pursue it anymore. But like, we were talking about it, and she's like, yeah, I wouldn't let you. Like, once you're done, you're done. And she's like, I'll do what I got to do. We'll change the lifestyle. We'll do this. We'll do that. Whatever it takes. Because I mean, she sees me on my worst days, and she doesn't like to point it out, right? She won't do that. Like, oh, why you limping, or why you doing this, or why you doing that. It was good to hear her say that and be like, hey, like, you spend the time that you need, you get in these last couple, and then we can move on, and then we can be done with it, and like, yeah, just wring every little drop out of it, and that's what my plan has been. But knowing that she supports that and is there behind me makes it easier too.
Have you ever had an issue with one of your opponents?
An issue?
Yeah, because, like, even famously, Nate Diaz didn't have any problems with you.
No, I can't. No, not really. I mean, like, honestly, I think that a lot of us are very similar, right? We're all combat athletes, which makes us all a little bit crazy, and you know, there's definitely like a spectrum to it, but we would all probably train together really well for the most part. I mean, there are obviously some guys that I've fought along the way that we might not, you know, and I mean, the fact of the matter is, though, is it's like I've got a great team. I love my guys, and we'll hang out here and there. But it's like I got 4 kids too, man. Like I do my family life, and then I go and I, you know, beat the shit out of them, and they beat the shit out of me. So it's like we're not around each other, you know, 24/7. But yeah, like I've never had issue with anybody, I don't think.
One last question, right here, sir.
You said Newark is your home arena, but there's a lot of New Jerseyites down here in South Florida. So what's it going to be like down here at the Kaseya Center in Miami in front of so many New Jersey residents, per se, or ex-residents?
You know, hopefully great. Yeah, you know, like I said, the goal is to go out and have a great night, and if everything goes well, yeah, maybe get on that Newark card. But you know, I think the biggest thing is like you know, the whole like the Apex is great, right? It served a purpose. You know, we got to fight, we got to make money and support our families during COVID and the lockdowns, and there are a lot of people that didn't have essential jobs, which I'm not going to get super political and that stuff, but it pissed me off. And like I still got to fight. But like fighting in a room this big it's not how the sport's supposed to go down. I get that tunnel vision when I am fighting, when the clock is ticking. I don't really hear much. If something big happens, I'll hear a burst. If my mom is in attendance, I will hear my mom scream, you know, which is weird. But in between rounds, I hear it. And I can still hear the crowd in between rounds of that first fight with Lozon. Like, it was deafening. And, you know, when I emailed Sean before this fight to get this one, you know, and ask for it, I was like, you know, I got a couple left, 5 maximum, and I'd like them all to be in front of big crowds. Yeah, like here we are, and you know, and I've fought in Florida before. It's great fans down here. I can't wait. I love it. I love the feeling. I love the rush. Like, I'm getting little goosebumps just thinking about it. You know, it's like I said, the fighting in front of no crowd, it had its purpose. I honestly, I don't believe that's the way the sport was meant to be, you know, played out. So yeah, to be back again in front of a big crowd, I'm you know, chopping at the bit for Saturday night. Thank you.
Kill that screen before Nikita. Love from New Jersey. Just kidding. It was just the Wi-Fi was so bad. The comments were all Mike. Test this other camera.
Fucking Jim Miller fan club.
Box up, box up, box up.
Jose and Mike are actually starting with Jim Miller fan.
I asked him one question.